Hello everyone, if you're new to my channel, consider liking and subscribing. It will make me feel wonderful if you do that. Thanks. By the way, I also have another Naruto and Luffy fanfiction channel. If you are interested, link is in the description.
Please sign here by 2ILVR80X. Pirate King Monkey D. Luffy has agreed to go back in time some years when he was first starting out as a pirate. It is clear this decision was based due to his dead crew. No doubt he wishes to stop their demise. All details are on his contract, but he has agreed to take me with him, and off this godforsaken rock. I don't own anything. Adios.
Nami is turning past corridors left and right, looking for her way to get into the building.
There, a side window with a simple lock. Perfect place to sneak in, considering the corridors are nowhere near as heavily guarded as entrances. With a quick pick to the lock, she enters the building. This is not her first break-in, nor will it be her last, and experience taught her that the best place to look for things people don't want to get stolen was the center of the building. She carefully and quietly starts making her way to the center, ducking past any guards or wandering drunks passing her way. Luck was on her side, as most seemed to be partying on the roof or whatever S does after terrorizing a bunch of villagers. She hides behind a wall, hearing footsteps coming her way. "Come on, Captain Buggy is calling everyone." "Why?" A slurred voice follows after. "I thought we were taking it easy." Another voice picks up. "Some moron is picking a fight with everyone on the roof." "So?" The same slurred voice calls back. "Can't they take care of it?" "Nah, dude," the voices start to die out. "He's winning." Nami hangs her head. "Fight, really? That is his master plan of distraction. Sure, it is working, but still. Boys." She comes out of her hiding place and made her way to the next corridor. "Hey," she freezes in place. "Stay here and guard the treasure room. Don't need to be scolded by the captain." Luckily the conversation is just out of her sight as one of the pirates stopped in front of a door grumbling, "Stay. Go, make up your mind." So only her versus one guard, time to put on the charm. She walks up sweetly and innocently to the pirate. "Hey." The guard looks at her, wah, wham, and a good hit to the head with a bow staff. Her most charming feature. She hops over the body and sees an office. Geez, where can a girl get some treasure? She will have to search the entire room to find the... Oh, it's all in the closet. There is the gold lying oh so nicely on top of a carrier sheet. It is her lucky day. She grabs the sheet under it and ties the four corners into a bow. She throws the load over her shoulder, ready to make her exit. But there is a single chest on the desk, with the key still in. A little too easy. She knows better than to trust a silver platter. There had to be some trick. She took her staff to open the chest. And nothing happened, it just opens. Nami doesn't want to say that she is disappointed, but she is surprised that it was this easy. The chest lid is now wide open, showing a single map right in the middle. Never look a sea king in the mouth. She grabs the map and starts booking it. She had to get out of there quietly but also quickly, no need to get any more. "Hey, who are you? Attention." She turns around slowly, banking on the natural stupidity of pirates as a cliché lie falls from her lips. "Maintenance." The pirate looked her up and down. "Maintenance?" "Yeah, just taking the trash out," she says casually, flexing the bag. "Oh, okay, carry on." Clichés didn't get that way by being ineffective, after all. The thug starts walking away himself. And 5 steps later, his brain catches up to him. "Wait, we aren't paying for a maid." But she was already long gone. "Stop, thief, ew." Luffy gives a pleased smile, very proud of himself. "Why can't you bastards kill him?" A certain clown yells, a certain pair of dumbasses still trying to land a hit on a certain future king of the pirates. The pirates around him didn't hesitate to follow their captain's orders once he insulted the very obvious nose of their captain. Problem is, he keeps dodging all their attacks. Luffy ducks Kabaji's side swing, won't, sidestepped another, stand, leans a little bit back, still, Luffy jumped out of the way as another thug rams into that one. "Don't worry, Captain," a certain freak said, "I got this." Everyone is quite impressed as Moji the beast tamer got on Richie the lion ready to pounce. Only for the lion to stop in a cold sweat. "Richie, come on," Moji yells at the lion, "you're embarrassing us." Luffy raises a single hand slowly. He doesn't even do anything as the lion turns tail and runs, literally jumping off the roof, leaving his tamer to fend for himself. Who are you? Moji forgets all about pride at that moment. "What do you want?" Luffy can't hold back an uncharacteristically smug smile. "I'm Monkey D. Luffy. Nice to meet you. And I came here to see old Big Nose himself." The pirates hesitate at the bold claim, not expecting such an answer from some small brat, disrespecting their captain so easily. They all got ready for a second wave, ready to pummel this brat into submission. Kabiji leads the charge, cowardly fighting with hordes of men at his side. "Don't worry, Captain, we'll take care of him." Luffy doesn't raise a fist as he dodges each their attacks. In fact, he doesn't even uncross his arms. Kabiji swings widely at him, each time more desperately than the last as he just moves like wind around his attacks. One makes a straight shot only to hit his crew member in the face, knocking him out. Kabiji comes from behind as Luffy steps on his face to dodge. That one loses control and rams right into the swordsman, leaving them both down for the count. And when Luffy makes an extra special landing on top of them, they're going to stay down. He might have just been showing off to a specific someone who is looking on, hiding behind a corner. And impressed she is. He may be a pain to work with, but if Nami could get this guy to fight all her battles, she would reach her goal in no time. That's it, you morons. Buggy finally getting up himself. If you want someone dead, then you had to do it yourself. Buggy isn't as dumb as he looks. Oh, he wanted to deny it with all of his being, but he knew what he saw. The dodging showed too much grace to be just reflexes, and one way or another, no normal person could scare a lion that easily. But he wasn't intimidated. He was Captain Buggy the Clown, terror of the East Blue. Whatever apex predator scare he did on Richie wasn't about to work on him. Buggy gets out his signature knives and starts making his way to Luffy, menacingly. The rest of his crew, whoever isn't passed out on the floor, clears out of the way, not wanting to summon their captain's wrath upon themselves. Luffy stands there, stock still for the first time. Looking so unmovable, yet remaining so elusive. Buggy fakes a left and goes right instead, throwing his knives right at Luffy, who dodges left, of course. Right into Buggy's trap, as Buggy's other dismembered hand throw 4 knives right at that Straw Hat brat. Thunk. 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 4 knives embed themselves into Luffy's clothes, trapping him to a wall. The bastard was caught. Nami's jaw drops. That clown guy's hand just came off. She is still hiding behind the wall, but Luffy was embedded right around the corner where she is. He must be a devil fruit user like Luffy. That would be the only way that he could have gotten someone like Luffy off guard. Oh, no, Luffy drawls, I'm caught. But the Buggy pirates are too in awe of their wonderful, magnificent captain to notice. Cheers ring out at the sight of the trespasser pinned. That's our captain. No one can defeat the mighty Buggy. He's the best, after all. Buggy isn't done yet though. For a finishing touch, he throws the last knife right at the dumb Straw Hat's head. No, he shouldn't die. Nami could feel her body move on her own, hand already on her bow. If she could stop that blade. Stop. It was like her body turned to marble. She can't move. Why? She felt like she heard someone saying something, but that's just crazy. Her sudden stop kept her behind the wall, unseen by the horde of pirates by just a millimeter. Hey, Nami's head got whiplash at hearing Luffy's voice behind the wall. But how? She had seen Buggy throw the knife right at his head. It went at his head all right. Straight between his teeth. Luffy lifts his very alive head. Showy swear. He breaks the knife in 2 with that smile. I'm going to kick your ass. While the rest of the crew is thoroughly terrified, Buggy feels his eye twitch. Pahahahaha, is that right? You're hilarious. Get ready the cannon. He points to a certain cannon with a horrible look on his clowny face, giving a good reason why clowns are both ridiculous and scary. Just observe the awesome might of the Buggy ball. Luffy shakes his head. Pirates are supposed to love freedom and adventure, not mindless destruction. Guess he will have to beat some sense into the clown. Got to prep him for what's going to come later, after all. Captain. Another lackey interrupts Buggy's monologue by slamming open the door. What? Buggy is not in the mood to deal with any more lunacy. The lackey freezes in fear, hating being the one to deliver the news, but, Captain, he took a deep breath, we've been robbed. Buggy definitely feels a blood vessel pop at that. What? How could you be so moronic to let this happen? He throws a knife near the lackey's head. The lackey drops to the floor. I'm sorry, Captain, it was the girl. She took the map and the treasure when everyone was coming to the roof. A girl? Buggy rounds to Luffy again. You had something to do with this, don't you? Luffy shrugs nonchalantly. A thief, huh? Well, you should be honored. This is the flashiest way to die. Buggy laughs as he went on. With these Buggy balls and the power of the devil fruit, I should have no problem conquering the Grand Line.
Luffy can't stop a laugh at that. You would think that someone who sailed with the Gold Roger would have a better idea of how the world is. How much can you forget after a couple of years? Or that ego of his is now as big as that nose of his. He needs some humbling.
Buggy gives a glare at the laughing moron. Just what are you laughing at, brat? His glaring only worse as Luffy continues to laugh. Oh, nothing. Luffy wipes a tear from his eye, somehow making it look casual despite his shirt still being embedded. It's just funny thinking that you could even get past paradise with that kind of attitude. You won't even make it past Reverse Mountain, you big-nosed idiot. What did you call me, you stupid thief? Buggy is getting so hot he was almost in flames. I'm not a thief. Luffy barks back. I'm a pirate. In fact, I'm going to be king of the pirates. It was dead silent at the claim, until the whole lot of pirates started laughing at the kid. King of the pirates. What a moron. He stuck to a wall and he thinks he can get the One Piece. Even Buggy laughs at first until he makes the mistake of looking into Luffy's eyes. They are unmoving, blank black orbs that were just a little too familiar for his liking. He isn't liking what he has seen in this brat. Buggy huffs, "You're nothing but some scrawny kid." Luffy huffs back, his hat covering his big eyes. "Go ahead, underestimate me." Somehow, despite being stuck to a wall, he doesn't seem any less capable or threatening. "You won't be the first, you won't be the last." He smiles a smile that brought small shivers down Buggy's spine, "but you will be wrong."
That did it. Now the clown was about to go down. "Why, you, stupid straw hat." He was furious, like the cannon.
His crew quickly obeys, already readying a Buggy ball. "This is my idea of having more fun," Buggy snarls, planning to savor the sight of this particular execution. Nami is sweating. Luffy could get out of this, he has to. This is all his own damn fault. If he would have just listened to her plan in the first place, none of this would be happening. If he died, it would have nothing to do with her. She was already too close to the fight. She had the map. She had the money. Nothing is holding her back from leaving. He is just some pirate. He made his choices and he failed. She had nothing to do with it. She should just get up and go, now. Right now, right now, she can't move from her spot. Her back is glued to the wall right behind Luffy. "Do it," Nami's head snaps at the voice. It was Luffy's. He spoke so softly that no one could hear him, except her. "How far does your resolve go? You'll never get far in this world going in half-assed." Nami's hands tremble, if that's what he means by doing it. "And letting you die without a second thought is your idea of resolve? Is that a pirate's resolve?" She spits softly but just as firmly back. No, she can't see him, but she could feel his grin turn feral as he spoke again. "You gotta be willing to risk your own life." Nami's heart stops. A strange but familiar feeling started to spread. Just like with her. Nami's eyes darken. To stand back and do nothing, or risk her life for what she knew was right. "Hurry it up, damn it," Buggy yells at his lackey. "On it, boss." Nami had never moved faster in her life. Staff out and huffing, the pirate who was preparing the cannon was on the floor before even she knew it. All eyes were on her now, the pirates and Buggy all shocked. Luffy grinning like a madman, but none were more shocked than Nami herself. "Oh, crap," she whispers, staring at her staff and the unconscious pirate. "Who the hell are you?" Buggy screams, the sheer acidity of his anger starting to distort his face at this point. "Sorry," Nami quickly apologizes. But she had nothing to be sorry over. She did what she thought was right and Luffy could not be prouder of his navigator. "Just shoot them," Buggy screams at his crew, not caring for theatrics at this point. The pirates aim their weapons at the duo. Luffy can't be happier, but he decides enough is enough. He doesn't want to put Nami into any more danger than she has to be. He puts his bare hands on the knives and simply move them out of the way, bending them like they were nothing but tinfoil. The pirates hesitate at the action, but Luffy pays them no mind. He wonders how he should do this. Should he beat everyone here up here and now or try for a hockey move? Testing if he can use Conqueror's Haki was pretty boring, but so was a lame fight. Not even fighting, more like trying not to accidentally kill someone, so plan 3 it is. He grabs onto Nami as the pirates recover, gum. Nami breaks out into a sweat, not again, both. Axe. And with a quick force of Haki that everyone feels, the guns drop just as Luffy brings his foot down onto the floor. Crack. Until the whole roof starts coming down, taking unconscious pirates and all, filling the air with smoke and silence. It isn't until the crashing stops and the smoke finally settles that the image of what just happened becomes clear. The only one left standing is Luffy, still holding a frightened Nami. Nami is absolutely astounded at the phenomenon they were still alive. She can't believe this. What the hell is this guy playing at? And what the hell was that? You could have escaped the whole time. Luffy is blessed to escape giving an explanation as a hand pops out from the rubble, connected to a pissed off clown out of the splinters. Luffy gently puts Nami down as they watch this development. Buggy is fuming. No, not fuming. Livid. That was Conqueror's Haki. He knew that power, he had felt it firsthand. How could some nobody pirate like that use the same power as the captain and Uncle Rayleigh had? But he can't deny anymore that this isn't a nobody. He has at least 2 forms of Haki and knows how to use them. And thinking beyond the deliberate taunt towards his nose, the kid had said, "Paradise." The only people who knew that name for the first half of the Grand Line were those that had already been there, and even then, they would only use it if they had seen the second half. The straw-hatted kid in front of him isn't some pushover. But neither is Buggy. Sure, he settled for an easy life in the East Blue, but he had sailed in the New World and witnessed gods clashing against one another. He saw the strongest that the world had to offer and survived. He would not go down so easily. "Captain, we finally found you, everyone, or what is left of the new presence that makes themselves known." Luffy laughs. "Oil. Zoro, about time you guys came. I was starting to think Zoro was in charge of the directions again." Zoro snorts at the childish jibe. "Oh, it's easy to know where you're going. All we had to do was find the noisiest spot on the island." Oil bows out of respect, not because they are amused by Zoro's jibe, that would be illogical. Forgive us, Captain, we seem to have run into company when you so gladly ran off. Of course, they can't hold back a jibe of their own. Luffy isn't the least bit bothered. It's fine, it's fine. By the way, Nami says she will be our new navigator from now on. Nami was frantic at this point. I never said that. What the hell is going on? Buggy can feel another pulse in his vein pop at the kids carelessly interacting with one another despite him being there. Don't ignore me, you flashy sons of bitches. His entire crew may be down, but that is no reason to be rude to him. He is a big fucking deal. Luffy puts a hand on the back of his head. Ah, sorry, uncle. Time stops for a moment as everyone checks their hearing because there was no way they heard what they think they just heard. What, did you call me? Buggy grit out each word like he was pulling needles one by one out of his nose. Luffy gives a big grin back. Uncle, cuz Shanks gave me this hat and since you are his brother friend that makes you like my uncle. He says it like it makes perfect sense. Utterly unaware of the new state of insanity the clown is experiencing, one that no clown should be forced into.
Oil watches the event unfold before their eyes. They feel pity for the old unknowing man.
What? Buggy yells in rage. That insufferable red-haired bastard gave you that hat. He stomps to Luffy, getting right in his face. Well, his nose is, at least. Yup. She. Luffy doesn't even flinch at the invitation of personal space. He said how you always dressed up as a clown and that you were a big nose. I'm going to kick his ass after I kick yours. Buggy stomps his foot into the ground, very childishly. It's because of that bastard I lost the treasure map and the money from this devil fruit. I can never forgive him. Luffy waves his hand. You were just being an idiot and blaming Shanks for it for your own stupidity. He continues before Buggy could yell again. Also, couldn't you just get one of your crew members to get the treasure for you? Keep up, you moron. The map sank to the bottom of the sea because when I jumped in to get it back, I couldn't move, and that red-haired bastard didn't go after it either. So, you're mad that he decided to save your life instead of a treasure map? That's pretty pathetic, Zoro helpfully adds to the conversation. Luffy shakes his head. Geez, uncle, you can be smart sometimes but you sure can be an idiot. Some humility will be good for the soul. Buggy's face is as red as his nose as he screams, I'm going to kill you flashy bastards. Buggy twirls his knives getting ready for a fight, that is, until something catches his eye. Is that? He looks at an innocent carrier bag, my treasure? Nami gasps. Her treasure? How could she have dropped the gold this whole time? What was she thinking? She makes a beeline and dives right to the bag, holding it like a baby safely in her arms. Gotcha. You. Nami takes a step back as Buggy brandishes a knife at her. Put down my treasure. Nami narrows her eyes. No, devil fruit user or not, she was not going to take orders on what to do with her money. I'm a thief and I just stole from a pirate. This treasure is mine now. Logical, Oil nods. Buggy points his knives at Oil. No, it's not, if you steal something that just doesn't make it yours. Zoro huffs, being lectured by a pirate, how sad. Buggy has had enough. He makes his move. Chop chop, festival. Buggy's body dismembers completely and starts flying everywhere. Nami's face is pure comedy. What the hell is going on with this fruit? Just what kind of monsters are these people? She never felt so out of her depth. Come here, girlie. Buggy's face and hands are coming right at her. Zoro tries cutting the body pieces but nothing is working. His body would just form back together with absolutely no damage. It was ridiculous. Oil looks frantically on the ground. Where are they? Where are they? There, Luffy, they shout. Luffy nods, plan already in action. He stretches out his arm and grabs Buggy right by the head and hands right before they could get to Nami. Huh? Buggy is stopped midair by a hand? Unbeknownst to him, Oil just threw Luffy his feet as well. Luffy balls head, feet, and hands together. Bye, uncle. Gum gum, he stretches his arms back. Bazooka, and sends Buggy in about the right direction like last time. At least, he hopes so. He turns to Oil. They give the thumbs up. Okay, good, he meant to do that, then. Oil has to admit, Luffy seems to have handled everything well. The crew is subdued. Buggy has gone off to recruit Alvida. Nami seems to have a begrudging respect that will grow into more. Overall, this arc was met with success. Though they have to admit, as much as they do not want to see Zoro get hurt, seeing Zoro trying to lift a cement cage with Luffy in it while bleeding out would have been quite the sight. So dramatic. What loyalty issues were they worried about with Zoro, again? You couldn't have at least left me one enemy? Zoro is not pleased. Twice now, Luffy had taken the spotlight of a good fight. How am I supposed to get stronger if you keep taking out all the guys? Now that Luffy thinks about it, he would have loved to see Zoro kick that unicycle guy's ass. He never got to finish that fight fairly. Luffy scratches the back of his head. Sorry, Zoro. It was an in-the-moment kind of deal. In the moment, my ass. You took down like 30 guys in a building, Zoro points out with an accounting finger. The swordsman was just parlor tricks? They had a swordsman? He wasn't even worth it, trust me. We're pirates, aren't we? Luffy felt his heart warm at Zoro finally calling himself a pirate. Okay. I promise you can fight in the next one. I said sorry. He put his hands in the air to show just how sorry he is. Nami is not amused. Can someone please explain to me what that was all about? Oil sighs. They suppose giving Nami the foundation of what the rest of her life has now become is the only fair. Luffy smiles down at the cute puppy in front of him. The dog is as still as a statue, frozen in place, not affected by time or space. But Luffy knows better than anyone how fast this mutt could be. He crouches down and holds out his hand, shake. The dog studies the kid in front of his, looking into his heart and soul, and then, not without hesitation, not without doubt, holds out his paw in return. Luffy carefully, but gratefully, shakes it, trying not to look like he just won a lifetime supply of meat. The puppy carries on passively, aware of the gift he just bestowed but being dignified about the ordeal. What are you doing? Zoro doesn't know why Luffy wants to stop here, but, to pet a dog. You don't understand, Luffy whispers. This is a luxury few can afford. Nami doesn't even bother to ask what they're doing. She got her treasure and once things are explained, she was finally able to enjoy the gold she so rightfully deserved. A straw hat being someone's treasure is a bit unorthodox, but unorthodox seems to be the norm with these guys. While Oil's explanation was nice, it never hurts to get some more. It's this thought that leads Nami to put down her treasure and sit next to Oil, who's writing in their journal again. So, how long have you been? She begins in a sickeningly sweet tone. Oil slams their journal shut. Stop that. Nami draws back a little. Huh? Stop talking like that. Oil does not enjoy when Nami talks like that. It makes them feel small. You want information about us and are trying to use subtle tactics to attain us. Please ask me up front and I shall answer your questions to the best of my abilities. I understand that is your usual method of being a thief, but please do not speak so artificially. To us. They are rambling. Oh, Pluto, why is it so hard to convey feelings? They haven't changed, but Nami's perception of them has. We are still us. You just know more about us than before. No, that didn't make any sense. Nami sits there with a blank look on her face. She understands what Oil is trying to say, but that doesn't change anything. You're still pirates, she grumbles, losing her sweet voice. Oil sighs, a little out of relief at the normal tone. Might as well get to the heart of the matter. Pirates took someone precious to you. Nami eyes narrow. How did you? It is a logical guess. Oil turns to look into their captain, trying to rub the incooperative dog's belly. Many pirates take lives, plunder, pillage, leaving destruction in their wake. Nami feels her hands tighten at the thought of a certain pirate that fit that description. But they're just fakes. Nami looks at Oil like they grew another head. Oil coughs, seeing they did not convey their meaning. What I mean is, those pirates are just thugs. Incorrectly using the word pirate to justify their actions. Luffy knows what it really means to be a pirate and he is going to change that for everybody. Nami shouldn't ask, she shouldn't care, but what does he think it means to be a pirate? Oil looks at her, right through her bandana. Nami could feel their stare. Freedom, they say so simply, freedom for everyone. Hey, you kids. The group of four turns to see an old man. Oil and Luffy recognize the mayor of Orangetown, walking over to them. The armored man stops in front of them and looks on curiously. Are you alright? I heard a crash over here and came to investigate. He gestures to where Buggy's hideout was. I saw you four walking away from their base. You're not hurt, are you? He looks at each one, not seeing a visible injury till his eyes land on Chow Chow's outstretched paw. It is strange to say the least. Chow Chow isn't the most playful puppy, let alone friendly to strangers. Yet he here is acting civil, almost polite, with this kid. Nah, we're good. Luffy gets up from his crouched position. We kicked their asses, he explains cheerfully. The mayor is taken aback by the kid's claim, obviously not believing him. Kid, this is not something to joke about. These pirates have been terrorizing the town for weeks, so forgive me for not believing some kids could have done it in an afternoon. Luffy doesn't have the best memory, but he does remember this guy. How angry he felt that his town was being ravaged by pirates and how he was still willing to fight despite not standing a chance. Believe it or don't, I would get the Marines here soon. They're unconscious and should stay that way for a while at least. The mayor hesitates, almost believing the kid for a second. He knows it is crazy, but this kid. He just sounds so damn sure. It is quite the convincing act. Oil takes note of the interaction. It was quite fascinating how Luffy's chances of convincing with the man just shot up. In his first run, he was able to give this man the courage to fight after defeating Moji the Beast Tamer. Oil cannot find the proper definition of Luffy's ability to motivate without even trying. It was like there was some strange charm about him that seemed to cause people to gather around him. The mayor studies the kid in front of him, then turns to Chow Chow, seeing a convenient opportunity to change the subject. You know, Chow Chow doesn't really like strangers, he begins, going on to tell them his sad tale of how he is guarding his store, even knowing that his master will never return.
Oil feels pain. It is that illogical pain again. They knew the story, they've read it. But hearing it from the old man, out loud and with so much emotion, it adds a new weight she didn't even realize was there. The dog understands that his owner will never return, but his connections to his owner and this store have created an illogical duty for him to guard the store, for nothing.
Zoro gives her a disbelieving look. Are you crying? No. Why is their voice cracking? Are they dying, again? Nami, still holding her treasure in her arms and not crying, addresses the mayor. Are you in charge here? The old man nods. I'm Mayor Boodle. He shakes his head, grumbling to himself. But I hardly deserve the title at this point. I can't even protect my town from pillaging. Illogical. Oil cuts in dryly. They need a distraction to calm themselves. This will do. It is not your job as a mayor to physically protect your village. If that was the case, then they would have chosen the strongest individual in your village rather than you. Boodle shakes his head. The mayor is supposed to protect their village even if they are not the strongest. I don't fight battles to win battles, he points to himself, but because they need to be fought. They process this information. Chances were against you from the very start. 5% chance of him winning the battle, to be precise, but you kept your odds as high as they could be in the situation. I suppose it is fruitless to say the situation could be worse as it could have been better as well, but what she is trying to say, Luffy dives in, is that you did the best that you could in a bad situation. Boodle fell silent at their words and Luffy takes this as their cue to start heading out. Well, we'll be on our way then. Luffy gives Chow Chow one last pat to the head and gestures to his crew. Boodle wants to say something more but, Mayor Boodle, Mayor, are you alright? Boodle turns to see his village right behind him. What are you doing? Don't you know how dangerous it is to be here with those pirates? An older gentleman, in particular, rushes out an explanation. That's just it, Mayor Boodle. We were so worried that you were taking so long that we came to fight beside you. But, he points down the street where Buggy's lair used to be. The whole base is gone. Boodle just stares, not really understanding. What do you mean by gone? Gone. Gone gone. As in no more. The man tries to explain, not really understanding it himself. Another citizen steps up when the mayor looks no more informed. As in, the building is nothing but splinters and all the pirates have vanished. Vanished? Luffy steps up, crossing his arm defensively. I kicked their asses, how can they be gone? The villagers look Luffy up and down disbelievingly. Well, we did see a lion and 3 other lackeys picking the unconscious ones so. Luffy hit his hand on his palm. The lion, of course, that's what I get for letting one of them get away, he chides himself. The 3 others must be the lackeys that we picked up in the boat, Zoro says to no one in particular. A woman heard though, are you 3 sailors? Nami stiffens a bit, saying there were pirates or thieves would no doubt get them into trouble, they had to think of another. We're pirates, Luffy tells them nonchalantly. The reaction is near instantaneous, from the calm, nearly cheerful villagers of Orangetown turning their aggression and fear to the unknown group of acclaimed pirates. They raise their makeshift weapons, itching for a fight, is that right? Zoro isn't worried at all, he actually has the audacity to laugh at the whole situation. Oil, on the other hand, can feel a headache starting to form. Nami turns on Luffy. Moron, why would you tell him that? Because it's true, Luffy doesn't see a reason to lie. They were proud pirates, damn it. Zoro just laughs louder. Don't try to reason with him, he does what he wants. We had better make our getaway fast, Oil reminds them. I calculate we have a 76% chance of getting away now. If Chow Chow were here, it would be 99%, but they will have to make do. Stop, but before any chase can ensue, Mayor Boodle gets between both sides, IVID himself. We are not going to attack them. The only one who can be mad at these kids is me. The citizens lower the weapons as they are told to, but only a bit. Mayor, what are you going on about? He isn't making any sense. Did these kids hurt him personally? The mayor turns to the kids, walking straight up to Luffy, back straight and head down. His whole body is rigid, like it was taking everything he had in order to appear calm. Luffy's face is blank, giving no indication of any emotion, but he waits for the mayor nonetheless. Boodle whispers, you nosy brats. You come into my village, destroy public property, and mess around to your heart's delight. He takes a deep breath, finally lifting his head and looking Luffy right in the eye. I'm sorry for doubting you, thank you so much. The villagers are in a state of shock. Huh? Nami lets out a sigh of relief, glad they are not going to be chased out of town. Don't worry about it, Luffy laughs, putting his hand behind his head. Old Uncle Red Nose wasn't much of a fight anyway. He was more than happy to kick that clown's ass and get one of his best friends. Really, Luffy should be thanking him. The mayor turns to his village, far more left standing than he had come to expect when they were finally free. On behalf of my village, you have my sincerest thanks for taking down the buggy pirates. There is a pause as the villagers let the information sink in, till they explode in cheers. He really is gone. Our village is finally rid of them, goodbye, Big Nose. Oil sees Luffy as wanting to go now more than ever. Now they were going to be seen as heroes. Oil would have to explain to him one of these days that heroes don't have to give their meat to other people. Sighing softly, they walk up to the mayor and hand over a prepared envelope. Here you are. Boodle looks away from his celebrating citizens at the letter. He takes it more out of politeness than anything. What is this? It is an envelope, Oil replies as they straighten. Boodle gives them a flat look. I ask you to open it when the time calls for it, they elaborate, raising their hand to prevent a protest. Trust me, you will know when you are supposed to open it, just keep it close until then. Boodle gives them a questioning look but pockets the letter. After everything they have done for them, it was the least he could do. It was just an envelope, no harm in keeping it for now. Now that that is done, Luffy turns slowly around, run, and starts booking it down the street. Huh? Why would they run? Nami thought they could at least stay for a while for free after the whole fiasco. Zoro brushes by her. You heard the captain, move it. When Nami sees Oil booking it, she gives in and hightails it out of there as well. Hey, the villagers take notice of their hero's retreat. Where are you going? Come back, we are going to have a feast for you. Feast? Luffy looks back, still running. Well, maybe staying wouldn't be too bad. No, we have to get to Syrup Village in a reasonable time. Oil jogs beside him, trying not to lose their breath. Luffy pouts, you're right. As much as a feast would be fun, Usopp was always more fun. Have that party without us. Oh, and we are not heroes, he calls back to the villagers. Boodle shakes his head at the disappearing sight of them. Kids. He chuckles a bit, no respect. The four of them ran all the way to the dock where the ex-buggy ship was still in port. As they start to board, Nami stops Luffy right as they are about to get on. She can't believe she is doing this. Are you sure you want me as your navigator? If she is going to deal with a pirate. No, if she is going to deal with Luffy. She wants this to be straight. Luffy is no longer just another pirate she can use and throw away when times get tough anymore. She is seriously thinking of partnering up with this moron. Luffy's brow furrows. Yes, absolutely, he sounds so sure in his response. I'm not becoming a pirate, she reminds him. I'm just cooperating with you till I reach my goal. She takes a breath. But you did save my life a few times there. But I can't say that I can always return the favor if you get in trouble like that again. She can hold her own just fine, but she is no fighter. Get in and get out is her usual line of work. She can't afford to risk her life like that again. Luffy is almost offended that she thinks someone like Buggy could ever kill him, or anyone in the East Blue for that matter. But he chooses a bit more subtlety in his dismissive comment. You can always count on me to help you, and I know that I can count on you. Nami just stares at him, wondering not for the first time how his mind works. Besides, Zoro threatened to kill me when I first met him, so really, you're already making a better impression. Zoro sputters out a weak defense as Oil fails to hide a smirk. Nami lets out a small smile, refusing to feel guilty. She knows this is not going to last, so no reason to feel bad about it. She is so close. So very, very close. She is only staying for the profit. Right. Only reason. There is nothing to be sad about. Still, she actually really likes these guys. Affliction as pirates not included, but they have grown on her. Thanks, Captain. She lifts her bag of gold over her shoulder and finally steps into the little boat. Luffy's smile could outshine the sun as he follows right after her. Welcome to the crew, Nami, he responds. His smile saddens at an invading thought. She is still trapped in another pirate crew, and no matter how she despises it, she is in against her will. She never planned on staying from the start, but he knows that within time she becomes more and more a part of the crew. By the time she returned to her village, she would see them as nakama. Luffy is willing to do anything to earn that trust again. But with Nami's back to him, the sadness in his face and determination in his eyes goes unseen to her. When she turns back, his expression has returned to normal, or else he was just getting good at wearing a mask. Where do you want to go next, then? Nami asks decisively. If she couldn't stay in the crew, then she would be damn sure to do her job well while she was here. Luffy points to Oil, who stood at attention ready to answer. Our next destination shall be the Syrup Village in order to recruit our next member. Zoro rolls his eyes, already taking a set in his nap spot. Okay. The percentage stuff I can buy, but that stuff. How can stars tell you when you are going to meet a person? Magic. Do you not understand simple explanations along with your lack of any sense of direction? Oil looks down upon the swordsmen with their high and mighty attitude. Zoro doesn't move for a second, half thinking that this brat isn't worth the effort, and the other, winning, half saying to hell with pride, and proceeds to pull the kid's long ponytail. Ouch! Oil grabs their head. That is uncalled for. Your face is uncalled for, Zoro retorts. Oil had no idea what they were going to say as they opened her mouth, just to be reminded. Wait, causing everyone to pause. I was to get off at that island. Luffy laughs at them. Nah, you're nakama, remember? Oil folds their arms. I would accuse you of trickery, but I doubt you can plan something so. Luffy gives a well-deserved smug smile, subtle. Zoro looks back and forth between the two, confused. What did he do? Oil calms themselves, a hand pressing against their face in exasperation. Luffy used an age-old tactic of mob mentality to get everyone to run with him, including me. Zoro stares at Oil, and then at Luffy, wow, and then gives Luffy a high five, which he gladly returns, good job. Do not encourage this behavior. Nami ignores the little fight and actually thinks about the request. She knows their destination, a small village on the Gecko Islands to the southwest. Who did they plan to recruit from such a small village? As they set sail and the island grew more distant, Nami noticed that her bag of treasure was only half what was originally there. Luffy. Where's the rest of the gold? She asks fake serenity. Luffy sat down lazily. That? I left it by the dog store when you put it down for the townspeople. There was a pregnant pause on the little boat as the statement registered in Nami's mind. The statement was dointed under. Pissed. You left it? That was worth 5 million belly at least, she yells with that shark tooth anger of hers. Luffy nods in agreement. Yeah, they're not a wealthy town and they will need repairs done. Besides, you said you only stole from pirates and half of that gold looked like household jewelry and silverware. He puts his hat over his eyes as if taking a nap. Nami feels the anger draining out of her at that reasoning, and her head sags as she gives up. She has to admit, she does feel for a town ransacked by pirates. And she did get extra from the chest on this boat, but still. At least tell me when you are going to do that, she snaps. It still hurts to lose that gold. She risked her life for that money. Zoro, for his part, starts laughing again. A vein pops on Nami's forehead, her anger returning in full force. Oh, you think that's funny? I'll give you something to laugh about. She retaliates by properly trying to throw him overboard. Zoro is able to hold her off, but she was surprisingly stronger than he thought. Get back. That's right, Nami, don't go for his back. Oil offers, aim for the neck. You should it, too. Zoro tries to kick Oil while still holding off Nami. Luffy can feel his smile grow as he leans comfortably back in the little boat, gazing up at the sky. Well, for better or for worse, he mutters to himself. Looks like we finally have a navigator in our crew. Luffy observes Nami under his hat. She is definitely getting more comfortable around them, nowhere as close as they were, but it's a start, and that was the best he could ask for. She is used to using her old ways, using cunning and manipulating the situation to her advantage, so all these new factors like devil fruits and working with pirates took her way out of her comfort zone. She grows out of it eventually, but it is strange to see her so stiff again. He wants her to get to the point where she is at ease around them and not constantly looking over her shoulder. The same goes for Oil. He may not be the smartest, but he knows when his nakama is making progress. The problem with them is that they feel they work best when they are in control of the situation. But that is not the point. Luffy wants them to feel they don't have to be in control of a situation to be at their best. They should be at ease not because they control everything, but because they trust their crew to watch their back so that they won't have to constantly look over their calculations. It is still a work in progress. He hears Nami laughing in the distance, not really mad at them because she has a kind heart. He hears Zoro huffing and mumbling about crazy women. He hears Oil writing in their journal, unknowingly muttering to themselves out loud. And with the sound of harmony surrounding him, he lets sleep overtake him. Animal Theater. Red-haired pirates captain. Red-haired Shanks bounty. 4,048,900,000 bahts. Ship. Red Force age. 37 Shanks is right as the South Pole is colder. The North Pole is just ice mass while the South Pole is a continent. The land is colder than sea, so he is right as the South Pole is colder. Can use hockey. Ben Beckman is the smartest man in the East Blue. Birthday is March 9th. Oil knows many things. They know they do not know everything, first of all. And that terrifies them. It is completely unacceptable, first of all. Information is the most important thing when it comes to creating a plan. The more precise the variables that are taken into account, the most precise the end percentage will be. It is simple math. Lack of information is dangerous. It can and will cost them dearly if taken lightly. Knowing this, Oil has many expectations for what they have to do and what will be. With this in mind, they weren't expecting to like Nami so much. Of course, they know of Nami's undying loyalty to her friends and her kind-hearted nature under her usual lust for money and thievery acts, but they never expected this kindness to be directed at Oil. These maps are amazing. Nami holds an intricate map of the stars in her hands. It is one of Oil's simpler versions, covering the sky rs_45 through rs_82 sections. And you recorded these coordinates yourself? She asks. Oil is 86% sure that Nami is just being polite in her asking, with her social skills miles above anything Oil could mange. There is no way Nami could actually be interested in their work. But they never had someone ask about their work before. They never had someone interested in them before. It makes them feel good. Yes. Should they elaborate? They don't want to bore Nami with their ramblings, but at the same time, they don't want to come off as ignorant. Nami is looking at them expectantly. Does that mean yes? Yes. Say something. I use the halo star patterns in order to get a clear view. You take to where the star is, but it is making the 2D prescriptive of the star into a 3D model is when it starts needing high forms of mathematics. That was a good place to stop. They don't want to bore Nami more than she probably already is. This is incredible. Nami puts the map down next to one of her own. It reminds me of ocean navigation, but I always have to worry about constant misdirections. Oil also knows Nami is a navigator. They know that. But it would appear that knowing does not always mean understanding, as this case seems to be. They don't truly understand just how smart Nami is until now, despite knowing that they are one of the smartest people in the East Blue. The thought of intelligent conversation makes their chest light. A kind of happy where one feels energized. Yes, in space we have stardust that kinda gets in the way of the star's brightness, making it harder to determine where the star actually is. Not to mention the constant rewriting of data. Oil flinches at Nami's groan, hoping they didn't say anything too stupid. Don't get me started on data rewrites. One reef goes down and another comes up just like that. Nami snaps her fingers. It's not like I can't keep up, but still, making a new map over and over again just to cover that new marker can be tedious. Oil feels their chest get kinda bubbly. It reminds them of hunger, but this was more light, like they want more time with Nami. Like they want to laugh. Fascinating. Hey, are you sure you're okay here, though? Nami gestures to the clear blue skies and sunshine. Your skin isn't going to burn or anything, right? Oil feels their heart squeeze yet again. Concern. Not only are they getting better at analyzing their own emotions, but now other people's emotions as well. Today is turning out quite educational. Yes. Thank you for your concern, but I am functional. They pull their hood over their head and roll their sleeves down, only stumbling a little bit, but hoping Nami doesn't notice. My eyes are very sensitive to light and my skin is very easily burned in the heat, so this outfit is quite useful. What about your hand? Nami gestured to her right hands, especially their knobby knuckles. Oil looks at their hand, from where they punched Helmeppo. They have been sorely regretting it, as now their entire hand is a blue and black mess against her pale skin. It doesn't hurt much. Yes, my hand is still functional as well. It looks worse than it is, I assure you. As long as you are sure. Nami points to the small boat's room. If you need rest you can come in. Yes, Oil had no intention of going inside. Inside would mean alone. And being alone would mean thinking. One of their least favorite pastimes as of late. Talking, as exhausting as it is far better than being alone. If only there was a way to simply be with other people without talking. But that is silly. They cannot simply just sit next to Nami and do math problems without making some communication. Simply absurd. Nami still looks a little skeptical, but in the end, accepts Oil's assurance. She has her doubts that this kid is a real pirate, anyway. They just seem so small. They have a good head, so there is no reason why they would hang out with murderers. But then again, Luffy isn't your average pirate. How they got caught up in pirating is beyond her. Speaking of which, Luffy and Zoro seem to be having fun with the wildlife. Hey, little guys. Luffy is beyond happy to see some panda birds landing on the ship. Several strange birds came to visit them, landing on the railing of the dinghy, clustered together in a cute fluff line of feathers. Luffy puts his arm out where the railing ends, and the birds land on his arm as well. They seem to understand the power of the future Pirate King and salute him respectfully. Luffy laughs, making a salute as well as they walk across his arm. Zoro even has one hand on his sword, saluting him all the way. He has no idea why any of this is happening. What are they doing? Nami deadpans at the flying creatures. Luffy continues to salute to no one, respecting. And like that, they were gone, flying with a burst of movement. For being fat birds, Nami is impressed with how fast they moved. She wonders what made them leave so quickly. Shark! Luffy shouts. Ah, that's why. Sure enough, there is the huge fin of a great blue shark circling around their little dinghy. It is nothing compared to the size of a sea king, but it has been so long since Luffy has seen one. A real shark. A normal one with teeth and everything. He can't believe how small they are. In fact, they are small enough for a person. Yeah, Nami observes, it doesn't look like it will bother us, as long as we keep our distance. Woohoo! Luffy interrupts her, as he is currently riding the shark like the show-off he is. Luffy! Shout the two people who had a full understanding of how very sinkable devil fruit users are. The third and only other devil fruit user goes back to their journal, lost in confusion. When did this happen? They murmur as they flip through the pages. Luffy doesn't pay his crew's actions much attention. He is riding the shark like a surfboard, and he has to admit he can see why Ace always rode like this. Sharky is pretty cool about the whole riding on your back thing. Luffy just has to lean a certain way and Sharky follows through. Neat. Time to take it up a notch. Luffy mounts the shark, hanging both his legs on the side. Just to be extra, he grabs a rope that is hanging from the fish's mouth. Giddy up. Sharky does what any animal naturally does when treated in such a manner. He mercilessly tries to buck Luffy into the ocean. But Luffy is not one to go down so easily. Sharky doesn't dive into the sea. which would definitely get Luffy off his back, choosing to stay above the water as much as possible. If he is going to buck Luffy off, then he is going to do it with style. Nami, for one, is not comforted by this fact. "Luffy, get back here," Nami shouts as Luffy starts getting away from their dingy. Zoro grabs the oars, already knowing where this is going. Here we go again. Yes, Oil agrees, again, though they are not sure when or if this has happened before. These are scenes in forms of little pictures. At first, they just took them as small events that happen in between. But as they kept reading them, they took them as dreams or wishes. They just seemed so out of place. The possibility of them actually happening seems so miscalculated, a 12% chance due to their seemingly random and out-of-place order that they seem to have to place within the usual narrative storytelling. Perhaps they have been reading them wrong. Instead, they were a story within the story. But then, why are they spread out as so? Why all this strangeness? Land ahead. Zoro calls out. Nami twists her head. What? But we shouldn't even be near Gecko Island yet. She looks off in the distance where Zoro had called out. But there is an island, a strange one at that. It looks jumbled for a lack of a better word. From here, she could see mountain formation, a forest, and even quite a bit of plains. So many different landscapes all on one island? As they got closer, it appeared to be inhabited by all the houses on the coast and docks, but there was a noticeable lack of humans around to maintain them. Oil perks up. This had a 75% of being the Bushman's island. This had to be, despite the strangeness of getting here. "Luffy!" Nami shouts when she spots the lost captain. The shark was nowhere to be seen, but Luffy is on a very nice white deck out of the ocean under a bright orange umbrella and drinking a fancy orange drink with a dolphin. They row their boat next to the dock, just watching, taking in the sight and all. Zoro is the first to get off to join Luffy, who silently hands him a drink. Zoro takes it, leans back, and drinks it. "Not bad," he mumbles. "What is going on?" Nami shouts, getting off the boat as well. Oil follows, curious to where this is going as well. Luffy sips the rest of his orange drink, trying to put his straw in his dolphin companion's, drinking some juice. The dolphin slaps his attempts away with a flipper and an annoyed look. Nami could feel her sanity crumble with the dolphin. Oil interjects, "She is right, Captain. I was not expecting this much abnormality till much later. Drinking and interacting with very human-like animals was more Grand Line normality than East Blue normality. Hell, it was more New World than Paradise normality." Luffy shrugs again. "The sea is a mysterious place," he says sagely. Translation: he has no idea what was going on either. Oil is starting to get a headache. If that is the case, then why is this recorded in his contract? Is this all a dream? Have they all gone mad? Mass hallucination is very improbable, 3%, but should not be ruled out. Nothing should ever be ruled out. Luffy stands up leisurely, seeing as he is having no luck getting any more drinks out of the dolphins. He stretches and bows. "Thank you for the drink." The dolphin, still a bit annoyed, accepts the bow with a nod. Manners out of the way, Luffy points to the end of the dock where the land meets. "Let's go explore." And like that he runs off into the island, Zoro following unquestioningly. "Might as well." Nami hangs her head but doesn't let it bother with it for long. "Come on, Oil," making her way off the very nice deck onto the very nice beachfront property. Oil bows to the dolphin as Luffy did. Animal or not, they did not want to come off as rude either, and follows. Yes, perhaps answers will be found more inland. They are not. Luffy runs to a plain-like terrain. There were a few scattered trees, but it was mostly dirt and grass for what seems to be miles until a forest ended it. A part of him knows that they should be making their way to Gecko Island because there is a bloodthirsty shit butler ready to murder a little girl any day now. But a bigger part of him is just so happy to be seeing something new. Yes, he is happy to see his friends alive and well and even visit islands he hasn't seen in years in his past life. Don't get him wrong, he is loving every second being here again and messing with everyone. But nobody is there to mess with him. Tricking people and pissing them off is loads of fun, but it can be repetitive when he never gets a surprise. All that wonder going around the world the first time around has made him less naive than before. He doesn't want to think that he has lost his excitement for adventure, but it's hardly an adventure when he knows how to solve all his problems. Enemies? No problem. Destination? Charted. Excitement? Lessened? He may be in his old body again, but can he really never be as carefree like before? Oh, there's a cheetah, that is, staring at Luffy. And he is staring back. Oil and Nami finally caught up to their captain watching the watching. Should I even ask? Nami asks no one. Oil shrugs. I believe they are, measuring each other up. Both parties slowly turn until they were facing each other side by side, facing the same direction. Nami lifts an eyebrow. You have got to be kidding. Go! Luffy yells. And they're off. Luffy is taking a head start, being the one to shout the starting point, but the cheetah is not far behind as she felt. That's right, felt Luffy giving the go before he even said them. Who is going to win? Nami certainly doesn't care. I'm out. Oil watches her back turn in a random direction. Oil. has an idea. Perhaps they should suggest it. Maybe they mean, it's so obvious though, Nami would have certainly already have thought of it, so there is no reason for them to say it out loud. But, just to be sure. Just let them prepare themselves for rejection, don't be upset when they are rejected, Nami. Nami turns to them. Yeah, Oil, deep breath, would you like to charter this as land? Nami blinks taking in what Oil said, charter, the island? Oil was talking about making a map. She really shouldn't. Making maps kinda leaves a bad taste in her mouth, makes her think of him. She opens her mouth to gently let Oil down but she can't. The kid is standing as rigid as a board, shoulders so straight it looks like they are going to break. Maybe, she can give it a try. When was the last time she did something for herself? After all, it's not like she doesn't like making maps, she loves it, but she just hates how they all go to him. She still loves it because of her, Belmir, mom. She breaks into a huge grin. Actually, yeah, it has been years since she could categorize an island for pleasure and for. No, she isn't going to think about that, not now, but I don't have any paper. Wordlessly, Oil forcefully pulls their sleeve back, exposing their arm as they pinch a corner of their skin, and rips out a big piece of paper. Like their arm was a paper tube. They also take out their pencil from their pocket and hold it out. Here, their actions were fast and bold. They know this is not in their usual characteristics. Their actions are being heightened by the emotions they're sure. They want to give Nami paper fast. They want Nami to be pleased. They're scared if they aren't fast enough Nami would lose interest and be sad. They really need to speak with their captain about this recurring feeling. Nami takes the paper, interrupting their self-analysis. Thanks, Oil. This is perfect. She takes the gifts gratefully. Let's get some of the equipment from the dingy. I actually have some of the tools I need. While both intellectuals went back to get their stuff, the two monsters keep themselves busy. Zoro takes a seat in the more hilly lands of the island, finding a nice spot to sit down and clean his swords. Might as well take advantage of the peace and quiet to get some mundane stuff done. Now, Zoro will deny this even under the pain of death. But during Zoro's little sit-down, there was this cow. Now this certain cow meant absolutely no harm. She was just hungry, was aimed to be at the wrong place at the wrong time with the wrong colored hair. Long story short, this cow regrets ever looking for an afternoon snack. Let it also be said that Zoro was not amused. The poor, unknowing cow was trapped in a sitting position with its nose rings to the ground, keeping the creature in place. The cruel swordsman enjoys his new seat on her back for the remaining of his delicate sword cleaning. Luffy came around sometime he was done, not even looking winded. Quadruple A, I lost the cheetah. Zoro opens one eye, enjoying a nap. Cow no longer trapped. You lost to the cheetah? Luffy groans. No, I left her in the dust, I think, but I ran so fast I loosed her. He falls face down on the floor and groans. Zoro closes his eye again, not bothering with his moping captain. Luffy continues to lay on the ground, wanting something to do but not wanting to go back to the ship yet. Peck. No, Zoro. Peck, stop that, Zoro, Peck. Ow, Luffy lifts his head. What the heck, Zoro? Zoro opens his eye again. Huh? I didn't move. Luffy turns his head the other way to be met face to face with a pack of strange, ostrich-like birds with green and black stripes and pink tails. Luffy gets up, keeping close eye contact with said bird. He lifts his head high, the bird follows. He lowers his head, the bird follows. Cool, he moves to the left, then slides to the right, one hop. The bird copied all his movement. He makes a really cool pose where their backs were against each other. Hey Zoro, how cool do I look? Zoro nods, looking with faint interest, the coolest, and leaves it like that. But if he is being honest with himself, it would be cooler with a background. Like a pirate flag or something. Luffy gaps, you're right. Hey, do we? No, Zoro cuts him off. No, we do not. Luffy slouches, sad he can't even try to paint. That sucks, I can improve my skills. He might even be as good as Usopp if he tries really hard. Zoro shrugs, closing his eyes again. Those clowns might have a bunch of stuff in that dingy, but paint isn't one of them, so finding any. Found some. Zoro properly shuts up and looks at the scene in front of him. Luffy holding a white paint can while standing alongside a bear who conventionally had some foldable chairs and table. Who was having some bread for lunch. Zoro accepts it. This might as well happen, you still need a canvas. I have one, Luffy says. Zoro raises a single green eyebrow. Luffy slowly points to the bear. That's not a canvas, Luffy, Zoro calmly explains, that's a bear. Luffy waves his hand, same thing. He addresses the bear. Hey, bend down a bit, I'm going to practice making a skull on you. The bear gets on his bare knees and looks as ready as any bear can be. Luffy gets in position where he was just touching Zoro's shoe. Luffy, don't paint the bear, is what Zoro should be saying. But he wants to see where this is going, so paint away, he guesses. Luffy actually does a decent job. Nothing like Usopp, and he got some on a bird that landed on his canvas, but he was able to get both a skull and crossbones on a bear. Zoro helps too by sitting there and sleeping. The bear seemed very accepting as he sat very still throughout the whole painting process. On the other side of the island, in a landscape actually not that far away, Nami takes it upon herself to start her cartography near the desert part of the island. Strange. Oil observes, while there are signs of an active civilization, there doesn't appear to be any people. They address a street lined with adobe houses, all empty. I can't say if there is a sign of departure or not. I am not an archaeologist after all. Nami comes back from the desert coast, glasses still on her face. Apparently, when she says she needed supplies, she also meant her reading glasses. She finished her notes for this part of the island, so if there are no people, I guess that makes all these houses unowned? Yes, Oil aren't sure what that has to do with anything though, that is a logical conclusion. Nami continues, and since these houses are unknown, that would mean everything inside is unknown as well, right? She drags on a few keywords. Yes. Oil hesitates to answer. Which means, Nami has berries in her eyes now, anything we find is up for grabs. Oil. Aren't so sure of that, Nami twists her arm through Oil's, logically speaking of course. Oil's entire body gets an electric shock from Nami hugging their arm. Yes, you are not wrong, but... Then let's get to it. Nami, with her prisoner in tow, starts roaming around the small abandoned village. Nami, Oil interrupts her thoughts, we have an assistant. Nami cocks her head in confusion, there is no one else but them. Oil point downward, to see a big pink pig with a green bandana around its head off to the side, staring at them intently. Oil, Nami calmly says, that's a pig. Yes, Oil agrees, and he wants to help. Nami has her doubts, Oil pig can't really want anything. The pig oinks in disagreement. How either of the two knew it was disagreement was lost to both of them, but facts are facts. It is an oink against Nami's biased views. Okay, maybe then, Nami rethinks her argument, they can want, but we don't know if he wants to steal. The pig takes his bandana around his neck in its mouth and turns it around, to have a tradition theft mask, with the knot right under its pig nose. It would appear that the pig wants to steal, Oil points out. Nami folds her arms, studying the pig with a hard stare. He returns the stare with his little black piggy eyes unflinching. She likes it, she gives a thumbs up, welcome to the team. And so the trio ransacks a town, looking for any treasure in their midst. And lo and behold, there was treasure there as well. Score, in the end, they found themselves with an actually impressive chest of gold and valuable items like swords or jewelry. They made their way out of the even more deserted village with the pig carrying the treasure to the dingy. Perfect. Nami grins like a pleased cat. Hey, you don't mind putting that on the ship, do you? She asks the pig politely. The pig shakes his head, not bothered at all, just happy to be there. Nami scratches behind his ear and thanks, turning back to Oil. Let's go back to the forested area so I can square off that part of the island. Oil also gives the pig a scratch, a new way of saying, thank you, interesting. Both of them make their way to the forested area following a river that carved its way into the forest area. Luckily the river leads them right to Luffy, who is fishing with fish. Luffy, Nami takes a seat on the riverbed. I don't think you are going to get a bite that way. Luffy shakes his head sadly. Oh, Nami, you have so much to learn. What that's supposed to mean? She does not want to be hearing that from this guy. But to answer her question, the fish bait went underwater. He got a bite of turtles. Luffy reels it in. Got it, fishing is fine and all, but fishing for turtles on the other hand. Now that was fun. He remembers how he and Usopp took this game up when Sanji suggested something different than fish for dinner. And so turtles fishing was born. Nami can't help it, she laughs, great catch there, Luffy. The absurdity of it all just dawns on her. And she really has to admit it has been a while since she had fun. Actual good-hearted fun. She is always worrying about her next prize or about getting caught, but actually, this is the most she has had in, well, a while. And it has been fun. She is having fun with pirates of all people. But, should she be having fun? Is she allowed to have fun at all? Here she is laughing and gallivanting while her island is still under siege by Arlong. How dare she be happy while her island is still under attack? How dare she be smiling while she is so close to her goal, closer than she has ever been? Her smile grows less and less at the thoughts, making her chest feel hollow as a tingle behind her ear. What the he? Oil is standing there, hand still outstretched. Thank you, for the, cartography lessons. Nami snorts, not feeling any better, but she isn't feeling worse now, not really lessons, really it was more for fun than anything. Oil stares at her for the longest moment. At least Nami thinks they do. Still hard to read that face with half of it covered. Hey, Zoro calls over from out of the woods. I got us a ride over the mountains. All three look over, surprised at his claim. We are going over the mountain? Oil didn't know they were going on a venture. Zoro shrugs, yeah, might as well. He gestures them to follow him. Come on, I can't keep him waiting. The three look at each other, then back at Zoro. Zoro, Nami gets up, you came from the other way. Zoro stops, I knew that, it's a shortcut, he grumbles, trying to cover his embarrassment. Luffy shakes his head, throwing his turtles back in the river. I think I know what way you are talking about. He starts making the actual way. That's how they met face to face with a woolly mammoth. Zoro, Nami starts. Where did you find this? She really shouldn't be surprised at this point. He shrugs, found him. Okay. Nami puts her hands on her hips. We need to start having a buddy system in place to make sure Zoro stops getting lost. Her other two crew members nod in agreement, very seriously. This time Zoro blushes, shut up and get on the hairy elephant. Really Zoro, getting lost in time is another level, even for you, oil supplies. Before Zoro could grab them, they were out of arm's reach. Nami got on top of the elephant's back, with oil right behind her. Luffy grabs on the trunk while Zoro took a position on the poor thing's horn. The mammoth didn't move a single inch until they were set and started moving upwards.
From there they saw more of the mountains and snowy parts of the islands. Nami noted that there was only one mountain range, but still it is on an island this size was amazing, and she was taking every opportunity to categorize it in her maps. While traveling the island they would soon discover that the animals they will encounter will only get bigger and bolder and stranger, as well as time goes on. They were in a whole different world by the time they were on the other side. And still not a single human in sight. That didn't stop them in the least. If anything, they were having even more fun without being interrupted. Like their meeting with the Pengu pirates. Luffy hit it right off with the captain. A blue penguin with decorative swirls on his feathers and in a green pirate hat, both having a little dance as captain with one another. Follow my lead, Pengu guy, as Luffy teaches his fellow captain a rather complex dance. He should have a dance with Law when they meet again. This is totally how captains should make alliances. This isn't normal, right? Nami asks, looking at the sight in front of her. A yellow penguin with clothes has already offered her a raw fish, and she is all for intelligent animals, but come on. They even had a ship. How can penguins make a ship? They don't even have a ship. Oil shrugs. Normality is an illusion. It varies from person to person with no objective. For example, what is normal for predators is chaos to the prey. They ain't too bad. Zoro looks at 3 red penguins with blue bandanas. They sure do like to help. Nami rolls her eyes. Please, you just like them because they're treating your swords like they were gold bars, as each penguin did hold the swords with great prestige. It was the kind of care of a mother to her child, waiting for the captain's orders, taking their responsibility of the swords very seriously. Zoro crosses his arms. They know good craft when they see it. Okay, this next step is a little tricky, but just hear me out. Luffy puts one leg in front of the other, twisting them around each other in an inhumane fashion. He has his feet push him off the ground 3 feet in the air, where his legs unravel so he lands in a perfect split, hands high in the air. Think you can do it? He wasn't even out of breath. The captain of the Pengu pirates stares at Luffy for the longest moment, eyes unreadable. He waddles in a little circle and lifts his hands in the air. Luffy gets up clapping. Close enough. The Pengu captain points to their ship. Oh, a tour? Huh? He turns to his own crew. Hey, you guys wanna come? Zoro yawns. Nah, you go ahead. Oil starts to get up. This could be informative. Nami shrugs. Might as well see how much penguins are better off than us. Luffy grins. That's the spirit. Once boarded, Nami actually does find something to get into the spirit about. See here. This is how you land formations are from the north and east ends. Now while it looks like your mountain range goes all the way to the south, it really is southeast, she explains to the very stressed looking lemur. The lemur is obviously a scholar and seems to be the navigator on the penguin ship. He has glasses, a bow tie, and even a graduation hat, so that is how you know he is a smart lemur. He looks at Nami's map, at his own, back at hers, and lets out a lemur sigh. She is right. His drawings here are all wrong. Nami pats his shoulder. It's okay. Here, let me help. She patiently explains his errors while he gracefully accepts her help. Luffy takes up one of the papers. Ah, this must be the barren wasteland. Nothing but desert for miles. Luffy, Nami says with every inch of calmness she could muster, you're holding the map backward. And so he was. I knew that. He puts the map down and makes the most dignified exit he could. An exit that lead him to the other side of the ship, where 3 rabbits in human clothing, one in orange overalls, one with a pink shirt and a black hat, and the last with 5 earrings in one ear and goggles, are all trying to make mochi. Luffy can't help the grin spread across his face. Mochi, he was never a big fan of the sweet, but it is still one of his favorites regardless. Thanks for the help of a certain someone, Luffy is confident he could make the best mochi in the goddamn world by now. He hopes that poor bastard is okay right now. Well, he is with his mother. He taps one of the rabbits on the shoulder. May I? He asks as politely as Luffy Lee possibly. The rabbits were doing a good job at hitting the hammer, but Luffy knows he was the best, after all. Said rabbit looked Luffy up and down skeptically but reluctantly gives the mallet to him. Luffy gives the mallet a practice swing. Get ready for the best mochi you have ever had. He winds up his arm, lining up his line of sight perfectly with the bowl. Clock. Destroying the bowl of mochi. Oops, my bad. Luffy scratches the back of his head. Note to self.
Not all bowl are made of sea prism stone. End note. That rabbits put their heads in the hands, not mad, just disappointed. Wait, give me another chance. I can do this, I swear. Mochi man will never let this go. If he heard he couldn't make some fucking mochi, not in his past lifetime, and especially not in this one. The rabbits got him another bowl and Luffy takes a deep breath. He gives another, very controlled, hit with the hammer. Clunky whips up again and started on a nice fast pace, not too hard, but not too light. Like delicately punching someone in the face. There's an art to it. The goggled rabbit gets under and starts flipping the mochi over at the same time. It was like a mochi making machine. Oil pokes their head around the corner of the ship. There you are. They make their way to the 4 mochi makers. May I ask what you thinking you're doing? Well, I think I'm making mochi, he said, not breaking his pace, but who actually know? Want some? Oil actually considers it, maybe later. Right now I have something I have been meaning to ask you. Being on a small dinghy with 2 others had been making one-on-one conversation difficult. They hopes this would not be the case when they get the going merry. L takes a deep breath. There was nothing to be ashamed about. It was only logical for them to go to Luffy about this after all. What does it mean if someone is hurting for another person? Luffy doesn't say anything at first. The rabbits have been switching the mochi in and out under his hammer for a while now. I guess it means you don't want them to be sad, he states simply. Oil pushes on, not satisfied with that answer. No, I get that, but what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything, Luffy replies in the same tone of voice, just that you don't like it when your friends are sad. Oil pauses, letting the information sink in. Friends? Oh, Diana and all her stars. What are they doing? How did they not account for that? Something so obvious yet so subtle. They're back at square one. Just when they thought they had a hold of when and where their emotions are coming from, they somehow still form without their knowledge or consent. This was not supposed to happen. How can they have let this happen? So I am feeling friendship. Luffy stops hammering at that. Is friendship an emotion? He puts the mallet on his shoulder, looking deep in thought. For as much as Luffy can look like that, yeah, sure, why not? That is the feeling of friendship. Oil felt their chest go hollow and cold. Oh, Diana. Luffy puts down the mallet. Hey, what's wrong? He could feel the despair coming off them. Was it something he said? I am a terrible being. It takes everything they had not to let their voice waver. Luffy studies them for a moment. He sighs, here, and gives the hammer back to the rabbits. His sole focus is back on Oil. Hey. Oil lifts their head with great difficulty. They wish they could just fall asleep forever and never had to deal with these emotions again. All they have done is throwing them off and taking into account variables that are useless like they are, and they can't possibly hope to be of any help with that sad state. Knock. Ow. Oil lifts their hand to their forehead. Luffy gave a single knock with his knuckles, looking too stern for their liking. Stop overthinking everything in life. It's annoying, he says bluntly. Just live it. Oil rubs their head, though it barely hurts. How do I live? Luffy shrugs. You gotta find that on your own. Just feel it out before you think it out. He remembers how he would go head first into battle. No plan, no thoughts, just running on pure emotion and fists. It got him into a lot of trouble, but at the same time, he never could regret it. His feelings lead him to the most amazing people he had ever met, despite what everyone else would say. Bounty hunters, thieves, liars, failures, monsters, demons, perverts, creeps, traitors, and more. None of that matters. It just feels right to have them around him. Does he have to think any more about that? Why did you punch Helmeppo? Luffy asks. Because it was the most reasonable. No, he cuts them off. No, it wasn't, and you know it wasn't. They know it wasn't. It was a mistake. I let my emotions get the better of me. They remember the embarrassment of trying to actually teach Kobe something that could never be recaptured. What a foolish notice. Them teaching someone else. Pathetic. I shouldn't have done that. I should have. He grabs their hand. Firm yet oh so gentle on their bruised knuckles, bringing it to both their faces. You hit him. Because you wanted to write. Oil says nothing. They have nothing to say. Just, next time say what you feel. Even if you don't understand it, say it, and go from there. And if it makes things worse, their voice is just barely above a whisper. Then it does that. You can't be responsible for everything, Luffy says confidently. Any help? Thank you, Captain, Oil says in their monotone voice, but he knows they aren't thanking him because of his answer. They make their way to leave. Why do you draw stars? Luffy calls out. They stop, they know this answer, to keep busy. Luffy doesn't move, and now, Oil turns back to their exit. I hate leaving things unfinished, and like that, they're gone. They walk aimlessly off the boat and on the shore, thinking. They hate thinking. At least this kind of thinking. They started stargazing to avoid this kind of thinking. Drawing stars. Simple math. Solving equations. Measuring the brightness from the naked eyes to determine their distance, calculating the patterns at which they moved, recording the 7 moons and the effects they have on the planet. It took centuries, taking account of every variable. Adding new variables like comets and the occasional space dust cloud came in. They had to keep busy, to keep moving somehow, not letting the overwhelming feeling of anything consume them and letting just simple apathy take over. For centuries it was no feeling, just thinking, no understanding, just reasoning, no guessing, just solving. Pure and simple mathematics. They had a perfect picture of the night sky in their journals from every angle she could get on Raftel. And now, they are alive, now they have to live. Annoying. 5 times minus 6 equals 3x minus 8, add 6 to both sides. 5 times minus 6 plus 6 equals 3x minus 8 plus 6. Simplify 5x equals 3 by minus 2, subtract 3x from both sides. 5 by minus 3x equals 3 by 2 to 3x. Simplify 2x equals minus 2, divide both sides by 2, 2x, 2, equals, minus 2 halves. Simplify x equals minus 1. Simple, strange, it left them not what they wanted. Usually, a simple equation cleared their head, but now they feel unfulfilled. When did their calculations become not enough for them? The sound of cutting forcibly takes them out of her musing. Oh, it would appear that their feet took them farther than expected, to a bamboo grove to be exact. How foolish, they should have been paying attention. Zoro, as it would seem, has been filling his time by cutting bamboo stalks by the dozens with each swing of his swords. Oil walks up to a panda standing idly to the side. They think this was the perfect chance to have a conversation. An 89% perfect chance to be exact. There are no other crew members and Zoro is not busy. All they have to do is walk up to Zoro and talk to him. Simple as that. Why is this harder than originally calculated? Just go. It is like Luffy said, don't think, Lee, what is it? Oil felt 2% of disappointment for not starting the conversation, but that is overshadowed by the 98% relief for not having to be the one. What are you doing exactly? Zoro shrugs, helping out. He gestures to the panda farmer near to them. He needed them cut down for his newest harvest. He gives another swing, just to pass the time, you know. Oil hums, greeting the panda as politely as they could as they made their way to Zoro. Zoro, I would like to have a conversation about with you. Zoro looks at them, letting them know they have his attention, but he doesn't stop cutting. What? About your position with the crew. Zoro doesn't hesitate his work at that. What about it? Just get to the point. He never knows what this girl is trying to get at. At least with Luffy, he is to the point, but Oil could run in circles all day without ever really saying what they're thinking. They don't know Zoro. Not personally, they've only read about him. They know that Zoro respects and generally likes Luffy from what they have seen, but they know where his values lie. On top of it all, despite feelings, despite preference, Zoro views Luffy as the captain first and foremost. They could not measure if Zoro is more loyal to Luffy the friend or to Luffy the captain. They suppose in the end it doesn't matter, but still, it holds that thought that if Luffy was anything less than Zoro's captain, would he leave? Your position in the crew is currently swordsman, is that correct? They had seen his actions in both Thriller Bark and Water 7. Zoro refuses to respect a captain that would allow someone to disrespect the captain position. At the same time, he could have saved Luffy with the intentions that without Luffy, the captain, the crew would fall apart and therefore Zoro's dream would be null. Zoro never meant to, has he? Zoro takes another swing. That sounds about right. Yeah, he never claimed to be anything else than what he is. A swordsman, simple as that. Zoro doesn't let friendship get in the way of his dreams or Luffy's responsibility as captain. He does have respect for Luffy, but he also recognizes the position that Luffy represents and holds Luffy to that standard. If he wishes to be captain, then he must act like a captain. Luffy must earn his respect. Yes, and I find that title to be inadequate. Zoro puts down his swords at that. What's the problem? His tone isn't accusatory, but it was starting to get annoyed. Luffy in the first timeline, as powerful as he was not the best captain. He didn't plan, he let his emotions run, he did things out of order, and constantly got his crew into trouble. While these actions did encourage his crew to get stronger, it did show lack of consideration. Luffy trusts his crew, that they can take care of themselves, but his disregard for consequences did lead them through many trials and even in danger because of his attitude. They doubt that Luffy is going to be reckless as he was, but, still. It is not so much of a problem as it is simply wasteful. I believe that you should serve a higher position in the crew. If Zoro had lived, would he have eventually fought Luffy? Would Luffy eventually make a decision that Zoro could not respect as a captain and leave? Would he question whether to stay even for Luffy the friend? Would he put his expectation for his captain to the side like he did his ambition on Thriller Bark and humbled himself in front of Mihawk so he could stay? Would he take back his word that he would leave if Luffy ever got in his way? Even she can't calculate the outcome to these questions. Zoro turns to face them. He isn't stupid. He knows where this is going. No, I am a swordsman. I don't need another title holding me back. He tries to look them right in the eyes. Despite the bandana, I'm going to live and die as the world's greatest swordsman, not second hand of the Pirate King. Oil feels their blood burn. No, they need to be calm. Can't have last time happening again. I see the advantages to addressing Luffy as more of a captain than a friend. Keep things professional. Usopp had been seeing Luffy as just a friend till Water 7 when he realized he had to respect Luffy as a captain as well, but Luffy is not a traditional captain. Zoro glare hardened. The answer is no, we agree, my ambition comes first. I'll help him till the ends of the earth, but he agreed not to get in my way. The blood would not stop, they could hear it in their ears. Their chances of convincing Zoro are lowering by the second. They need to back out now, before their emotions got the best of them. Come back later when they're calm and reevaluate the situation till it is in their favor again. But there will be no next time, it is now or never. And there lies the problem, oil pushes, you see it is holding you back, in reality, it will only bring you closer to your goal. Zoro's hardened face doesn't change, go on. One chance, that's all you get, as you no doubt have seen Luffy is not one for hierarchy. While this has many advantages, this also has many drawbacks. I am asking you to take the position of first mate in order to keep not only the crew in line but Luffy as well. Though they doubt Luffy will be as bad as last time, I have no doubt you will fulfill this obligation anyway, but I want to make this official, that when the situation arises I can count on you to protect the crew. They said it. Their heart is racing and they can feel the blood under their skin. They don't remember what they just said. It was all so fast and they were just thinking on the spot. They thought about what was best. They risked and they chanced and now. Damn, you're annoying. Their head whiplashes to Zoro, elaborate. Annoying, Zoro repeats himself, you can never make it easy, can you? Yeah, I kinda knew what kind of boat I was boarding with Luffy. As long as he doesn't get in my way he can act however he wants, but that doesn't mean I will let get away half-assing his duties. He looks away a bit. I ain't going to order people around or anything like that shit. I don't do orders. My first goal is still being the greatest swordsman. He looks back at them, his stare hard but honest, but yeah, I'll be the first mate. Oil could cry. The emotions were multiple and fast, but they were all good. They think, why yes. Thank you, they breath. Forgive me, I lost my cool. Zoro snorts, can't lose what you never had. Oil regains their composure immediately, is what they would like to say, Ayu? She can't say, Moss Head, or, Marimo. That's plagiarism, they have to think of something else, something that doesn't have to do with his hair. Wind chimes. Zoro folds his arms, looking more amused than insulted. Wind chimes? Oil nods, yes, allow me to explain. They lean over, her creepy spidery-like hand outstretched to the left side of Zoro's head. Tinkle, and jingles his 3 earrings together. There is a silence in the bamboo grove, the light noise carrying on throughout the shoots innocently enough. Zoro's face is like stone, nothing showing but an immovable force. You got 3 seconds before I break you like a twig. Rude, Oil pulls their hand back, not because he said to, because they wanted to. Can you please sign this then? They hold out a piece of paper. Zoro takes it, did you? He narrows his eyes at them, make a contract? I have been listing all your standings on what is expected out of you in your new position while we were talking. It holds your standing views of what you want. Really, it is all just to make it official. Zoro highly doubts that as he looked through the paper, and looks, and looks. Zoro, Oil softly speaks up, do you know how to read? Zoro starts to sweat, of course I do. He snaps, it's just, there are a lot of words here. Oil sighs, give it here. They take the contract and start reading it out loud. It was everything Oil had to explain to him what was expected. Keeping Luffy in line with his captain duties. Keeping crew in line with crew duties. Protecting the crew when Luffy is busy, kicking ass, being the second strongest on the ship. He asks the last one out loud. Oil nods, absolutely. As being the second in command, it is recommended that you should always be the second strongest when it comes to strength. Right behind Luffy, of course. It will take a while for Zoro to be on the level Luffy is at right now, but with time and experience he may be at the Yonko killing stage soon. Hopefully when they get Sanji it will be incentive to get both of them to fight for the position, logically speaking. Oil still doesn't know Zoro. They can't calculate his movements to truly know someone. But there is a feeling that they are certain they cannot deny. One that they are sure is due to this friendship, emotion. They trust him. Illogical. Zoro hums, well I'm not against that. After looking through the paper again, it was pretty short for a contract. He sighs, okay. Whatever floats your boat. Where do I sign then? Oil handed him the pencil, please sign here. She points to the bottom. Zoro rolls his eyes at the formality of it all. Roronoa Zoro. So you can write your name. Shut up. And he hands it back. Oil takes it, puts it between their palms facing opposite directions, and then opens them dramatically to show that the paper is gone. Zoro stares at them. They wiggle their fingers. Why are you like this? The list is too long. On another side of the island, a captain who unknowingly just got his first mate is enjoying a solitary basket that he was offered from his new Pengu friends and finds a nice patch of dry land to have himself a little feast. A feast for two as it would seem as a tiger sits down next to Luffy. The tiger bows his head and looks at him with big old eyes, not so subtly asking for food. Luffy. One does impelled down. He really doesn't want to share his meat. That was only what heroes do. You wanna fight? Get out of here. He makes shooing motions at the tiger. He doesn't want to fight, but it's his meat, damn it. The tiger didn't move but put his ears down and pouts, shamelessly pouting. No, squam. The tiger only gives him sad eyes, turning waterier and waterier by the second. That will not work on Luffy though. Luffy is not only the pirate king, he is the king of pathetic faces. But, a voice very strangely like Sanji keeps scolding him in his head. He's hungry, you should never let someone go hungry, even assholes. He's a tiger, Sanji would probably make him into food. Memories of Sanji feeding stray cats entered his head. That means nothing, we have eaten tigers before, but you aren't eating a tiger now. Another voice too much like Ace's, only kill what you eat, and kill them quickly else you are just being cruel. Ah, stupid brain Sanji. Stupid brain Ace, stupid brain, fine. You're lucky I don't like eating alone though. He gives the tiger a bowl of rice, a little lunchbox, and his own meat. The tiger bows his head grateful and they both enjoy a nice meal, despite Luffy giving up his meat. The years have made him gone soft. Belly's full, Luffy ends up taking a nap on the tiger's side. Okay, but don't tell anybody about this. I have a reputation to keep up. He even puts his hat on his head while the tiger licks his lips in satisfaction from a full meal. Nami drops right next to him out of nowhere. Didn't leave anything for me? Luffy jump, I didn't share. Then he sees it's Nami that sat next to him and groans, not you too, Nami. Why is everyone taking my meat? Luffy has to force his body to not lean into Nami's. Another thing he noticed is how much he just wants to be near his crew. Doesn't matter what, a brush, a pat, a shoulder bump, just making sure they were alive. Zoro doesn't seem to mind as Luffy has taken several naps on top of him, but Nami isn't there at that level of comfortableness yet in oil. Nami laughs, don't be selfish. She grabs a leftover bento box. Have you seen Zoro or Oil? I haven't seen them in a while. Luffy has a thoughtful look on his face. Last he'd seen Oil was on the pirate ship and they were distressed for one thing. They remind him a lot of Robin before she realized she was a part of the crew. Just overthinking and holding back what they really feel. It was really troublesome. But he can wait. He may not be the most patient cough, not patient at all asterisk cough, but he knows when his friends need time to figure their own stuff out. He'll keep her from getting worse. They have to see that what they really wants. He can't hold their hand through that. Zoro on the other hand. I have no idea, Nami sighs, but it isn't dejected, just accepting. Yeah, thought not. She leans back, taking a bite out of her fried shrimp. This island is insane. She, you haven't seen anything yet, sure. This was a weird place with very intelligent animals and no humans, but damn if it compares to flying islands and Amazon warriors. Nami gives a small smile at that. Yeah. Nami really does want to go to the Grand Line. No doubt she would get a buttload more cash that way. But, at the way she has been making money, she might never get that chance. She is so close, and if she meets that goal before going to the Grand Line then. Hey, funny, she wouldn't think she would be so sad that she could make money too fast. She hopes Luffy and them would get a good navigator when she leaves. No, a great one. Luffy lowers his hat over his eyes and doesn't say a goddamn thing. Oil let their feet walk for her again. Though she may not understand what Luffy said, he still made valid points. Letting them feel before thinking. Not the easiest thing to do consciously, but they're trying. They are not even sure where they're going. No percentages this time. They will not focus on the thousands of millions of variables around them and just move. Whatever may happen will. They trip a little. Okay, a little more focus. They put their hands out in front of them as they walks blindly into the forest. They do a little jump over some roots, jumps over a rock or two, and jumps into some gorillas. Feet haven't failed them yet. He doesn't act in her presence, completely absorbed into whatever he is drawing. Oil stands behind him, standing on her top toes, trying to look over. He stiffens, finally feeling the pressure of someone looking at him, and turns around quickly. Oh wait, they're being rude, aren't they? They give a sheepish smile. He covers his work quickly, trying to hide any evidence. Oh come now, Oil gestures, it must be important if you are working so hard. It had a 87% importance, decimal point ranging depending on art form or writing style. He look at Oil, then back at his work, seeming to have an internal battle within himself. Finally, after one side won out, he slumped his shoulders and moved out of the way. Oil finally took a look over his shoulder to let out a little gasp. Never mind 87 importance, this was 98% importance. The reaction gave the gorilla some confidence, attitude turning at complete 180, now encouraging them to show off his creation. They were quite impressive showing. Excuse me, Mr. Gorilla, is this your original work? He nods with a wide grin, quite proud of himself. I see that you have been observing this in order to make these. It was true, as each blueprint was made in style of each person of the crew. Gorilla rubs the back of his head sheepishly. Though I must say you are quite ahead of your time. Oil picks up one of the plans, airplanes. I wasn't expecting to see these for quite some time, or never if the world government had anything to say about it. Can't have islands having aircrafts that can outmaneuver their ships after all. May I borrow some of these plans? The gorilla gave them a look. I will give you all the credit, of course, we can even form a contract over it. He puts a hand to his chin, thinking it over for a bit, till he nods asking to see a contract. They make one right then and there with the basis that he would be fully responsible for the creation and so on. He raises a brow at any future engineers modifying his creation. Just precaution is all, they hold out a pencil. He shrugs and signed his name, Gory Illa, and gives them some of his plans. He even drew Zoro and Nami some skulls to have on the side of theirs. Fascinating, he grunts showing Oil something else. It was Luffy, Zoro, and Nami, as robots. Do you have the plans for these in the future? The gorilla flattens his hand waning tilting it back and forth, sorta, fashion. Oil gives the monkey a card, the 2 of clubs, call me when you are done. This is far beyond what they can tell. Hopelessly fascinating. They don't know where to begin their calculations of what this can do, but Jupiter curse it if they aren't going to try. Imagine Cuddy Frankie Flam getting his hands on these plans. While that is all fine and dandy, there are other very important things happening on the island as well. One such example, Luffy helping with dental hygiene. A hippo has been trying to brush her teeth and failing horribly to do so as she does not have any fingers to hold her oversized, correct size for toothbrush. Luffy jumps right to the things. Hey, need some help? The hippo nods slowly, holding her brush out carefully. Luffy takes a seat on a very convenient barrel and fearlessly opens her mouth. You gotta do it in little circles, just like Sabo said. Despite his noble starting, Sabo understood the importance of hygiene, which he passed on to Ace, who passed it on to Luffy, kinda. Nami continues down her own path, twirling a pink umbrella in her free time. She finally caught sight of a shade of green she has been looking for. Hey Zoro. Nami waves her hand. Zoro looks back from his work. Yo, he was sitting in the middle of a pond helping a huge frog making some barrel. Hey, Nami, Luffy. Grab that hammer would yaw and get over here. Zoro yells, holding a barrel in place as the frog hammers in the iron outlines. I got it. Luffy puts down the brush as the hippo happily takes it, now trying to make small circles with her thumbless fingers. He makes a hop and skip over to the lily pond, grabbing hammer flawlessly in hand on his way over. Hey, Frog-san. Nami overlooks them both, but seeing as they were fine. Luffy, that's not how you hit nails, she continued with her walk. She walks a bit to see just around the corner a 25-foot snake circling a nest of unprotected baby birds on the ground. How cliché. Nami calmly puts down her umbrella. The snake gets closer to the birds, mouth open and hungry. She arranges her bow. The snake is right over the babies. And proceeds to beat the snake into submission. After giving a good thrashing to a certain snake, baby birds chirp happily as Nami takes a bite out of her apple and taps the snake she's sitting on. The snake flinches but obediently gets her another apple from the tree, tail curled around the birds, not out of hunger, but now out of protection, since in case any harm came to them he would be the one to be punished. He gets another little apple for the babies. That's more like it, Nami states sharply. It doesn't matter if human or not, no babies were going to be hurt in her presence. Nami, hey, Oil, Nami chirps happily, throwing her apple behind her. Oil doesn't question the scene in front of them. It's said enough on its own. It is getting late. I think we should think about camping out here tonight. Nami hums. Well, there certainly is enough space. Nami notices again the abandoned ruins still in living condition. Let's go get the boys then. Before moving from her spot, she grabs the snake face to her own. Remember, if you hurt these babies. Her soft grip now turning to iron. Mama is getting herself a new pair of boots, isn't she? And with one last step on the snake, a final warning, the two made their way to the pond. Oil again, refusing to question anything. Actually, they should clear some things out with Nami as well. Oil takes another breath. Don't calculate, Luffy is not one to kill. Nami's eyes fall on them, surprised to hear her speak. What brings that up? I know that you claim your time in our crew is temporary until your goals are met, and in that meantime I would like to clarify several things. Oil tries to reason. Nami raises a brow. Alright. Oil continues to Luffy. Everyone lives to fight for their dreams. They remember word by word this part of Luffy's contract. He defeats them by shattering their dreams, and that is as painful as death. It is not about killing his enemy but giving them another chance to fight for their dreams. To Luffy, killing is taking away that freedom to follow your dreams, and he would never take away someone's freedom. Not even his enemies. Nami doesn't say a thing. Oil doesn't know if that means they have made the situation better or worse. All they knew is that they said it, and that is that. The guys were wrapping up their misadventures with Frog Guy. Are you sure you don't know another giant frog named Yokozuna? Luffy, for the last time. Not all frogs know each other. You're embarrassing us. After arguing whether to head back to the ship or not, the vote ended with going to the ruins, or rather Luffy started heading to the ruins and no one could stop him. There was a section of cleared forest, clearly man-made but utterly deserted. It was a well-built town, with a church bell in the back. Luffy looks around. Let's see if there is anything cool in here. Nami lets out a disappointed sigh. My money senses aren't picking anything up. Zoro raises a brow. Money senses? Oil shakes their head. This place has to be at least a decade abandoned. If they were to leave, the chances of anything to be left behind is. Found some stuff. Oil should stop trying to reason at this rate. Just stop right here and now. They had no one to blame but themselves, truly. The chances of something, of course, happening in Luffy's favor was higher than any chance logic had. Oil goes into the building that Luffy roamed around in and found it like a store, full of clothes. Oil has to ask, "May we take some?" Nami cocks her head. "You need some clothes?" Oil shrugs, trying to not let their emotional excitement surface. "I mean, we shall be needing more clothes for later anyway." Nami nods eagerly. "Agreed. I'm not one to back away from free clothes." Zoro folds his arms. "Well, have fun." Nami grabs his ear. "Oh, no mister. You have been wearing the same clothes for the past month. We are getting you a wardrobe." Zoro, against his will, follows Nami into the store. "Let go of my ear, witch." And things happened. Nami dresses to the nines with a beautiful traditional tight red dress and feather fan. She even did her hair up in 2 buns. "I'm just checking my size is all." She waves her fan. "This is some really cool clothes actually, really cultural." Oil nods. "It reminds me of the Long Arm tribe's clothes." "Now it's your turn." She cheers, getting another traditional dress in hand. Oil had to force themselves to keep from backing away. That is not necessary, Nami. I have been keeping check of my clothes' cleanliness." A hand on their shoulder stops them. She looks to it as Zoro, clad in a strange sleeveless shirt and baggy pants. "If I'm going down, you are coming with me." There's no mercy in those eyes. And that's how Oil is forced in a dress, not as short or as tight as Nami's. No, theirs had long sleeves and went all the way down to their feet, completely covering them like a silk robe. "I feel small." "You are small." Nami supplies, helpfully tying up their dresses back. "You look like about a size smaller than me, so we can share if you don't mind baggy clothes." So sharing clothes is normal between friends. I do not mind at all. Even Luffy got into it, coming out with a more collared shirt and sleeves but similar baggy pants like Zoro. "Hey, look at me." He started wielding a bow staff-like weapon for some reason next to the clothes. "I'm Goku." Zoro grabs the same weapon as well. "Who?" Luffy's face went from smiling to confused in a second. "I don't know." Before anyone could question, a sound came from the door. All of them froze, remembering despite being abandoned they're still in a store and ransacking it of its clothes. But it is still not a human, rather it was a golden creature crawling on the ground. "Is that a dragon?" Nami guesses. It isn't much bigger than an alligator, but it was twice as long. Despite the cartoonish look on the dragon's face, he still looks quite stern, gesturing to the door with a nod of his head. "He wants us to leave," Luffy explains. "Apparently this is his home and he's tired." Oil has a feeling like this went on quite enough, heading back to the dressing room post-haste. "Understood, completely agree, let's go." With a quick change and taking several articles of clothing, the dragon owned the store, not the clothes. They made their leave to be greeted with a black-lit sky. "Alright, we are camping here tonight." Luffy jumps excitedly. "I'll start a fire." Luffy, "No, a campfire." Luffy shouts back, "Geez, you think I'm an idiot?" Nami gives him a leveled stare down. Luffy holds up his hands. "Okay, fair. But I'm still going to make a campfire." And like that, he gets started in a clearing that seemed to be the backyard of the old church. "Is it even safe to camp here tonight?" Nami asks, putting their bags down and taking a seat on an old stone bench. She was not one for creepy abandoned towns at night. "Thank you very much." Oil shrugs, taking a seat as well. On the account that these ruins don't seem to be destroyed or deuterated suggests there is a 61% of a battle, 54% of some natural disaster, and 89% of disease. However, the latter goes down to 34% as we have seen multiple mammals throughout this island act normal despite EC and showed little to no signs of fatigue. Nami sighs. "Well, that makes me feel better," she says in a tone that clearly conveyed it did not. Oil does not take notice, happy to help, more focusing that they are really glad they could provide information. "How nice." "Hey," Zoro interrupts. "Where did Luffy go?" Both look to the spot in front of them that their rubbery captain was just at. But he is not accounted for, the only evidence of his presence being a rock circle and wood for an unused campfire. There was a noise coming from inside the church. "Luffy?" Nami asks in that direction. Slam. All heads turn not to inside the church but to the top of it, right in the moonlight's night, wrapped in a cloak of darkness. "I am." A pack of bats flew behind the figure, the Bat King. With the ruins in the background, their windows being lighted by whatever force, and bats swarming Luffy like he was their commander, everything did add to the dramatics. The other three are not impressed. Luffy doesn't let that bother him. "I know. I look awesome." Nami puts her hand on her head. "Why me?" Zoro actually looks thoughtful. "The captain coat actually does look cool." Luffy grins, coming down from the roof. "I know, right? I might make it a permanent thing." It reminds him of his other shirt he gets in 2 years, but you know, in coat form. It is red and doesn't go all the way down to his feet, stopping at his back. The coat has only gold outlines, no fancy shoulder pads or intricate designs but just simple buttons that he will next use and simple cuffs. It makes it look like a cheaper version of regular captain's coat, but Luffy likes it, makes it easier to move and stuff. And it is red. The best color. It looks more captainy. Luffy gave that wide grin. Zoro rolled his eyes a bit but let out a snort at his captain's antics anyway. The kid had no muscle despite the power he displaced. The coat made him grown up a bit. Oil saw how his clothing made no major difference to the story and just nodded. Oil prefers to observe the lighted buildings in the background. It would seem that the animals do live in these buildings but only for living use and don't actually run the shops. I wonder what happened. Nami looks around worriedly. You don't think the people here died, do you? Luffy shakes his head. Think what Robin would say. Probably something smart like, nah, if there was then there would be corpses throughout the street. Rotting in the sunlight. Yeah, she would totally say something like that. Besides, the town would be affected by the disease too or something. He was sure Robin also said something about sickness affecting buildings, which is weird because buildings can't get sick. Silly Robin. Nami raises a brow. How do you know that? She makes an executive decision not to question the first part of what Luffy said, no matter how out of character it was. Shit, he said that out loud, didn't he? I read it in a book? I don't believe you. Nami quickly catches the lie. Zoro takes it upon himself to finish up lighting the fireplace. Who cares? We ain't going to die and there is nothing to kill us anyway. What if all the humans here turned into animals? Everyone turns to Oil when they said that. Oil bulks under the attention, the feeling to explain themselves heightened. I mean, they clearly show human-like characteristics and above-average intelligence. It would not be completely out of the way to suggest some sort of transformation. Everyone kept staring, letting the thought sink in. Right. Zoro draws out getting in nap position. Humans turning into animals, that makes sense. Luffy nods, not hearing any sarcasm. Good thinking, Oil. If this place is cursed, hopefully we won't turn into animals in a single night. Nami gives a little smile. She knows that sounds absurd but, damn it, she does not want to be thinking about being cursed before sleeping. Luffy, don't you think that is a little impossible? Luffy shakes his head. Rule 1 of being a Straw Hat Pirate. Literally nothing is impossible. Oil feels a bit better at the words. Sure it is. Improbable this place is cursed, but more for the fact that this is the East Blue and nothing happens in the East Blue. But even so, they know better than not to account for every possible situation. Every single one. Even the ones that don't make sense. Variables are variables after all. They don't need to understand, they just need to account for them. What do the stars mean tonight? Oil barely hides her jump at Nami's voice. Mean. Yeah, Nami points to the very clear sky hanging over their heads. You said you read them, right? Oil feels her mouth dry as their gaze is forced upon the sky. Yes, it is section SF_56 through SF_98 tonight. So do you know what they mean tonight? Nami asks again. Oil hesitates for only a moment too long. Nami waves her hand. It's okay if you don't know. I know you don't like stories. No, they interrupt. It is not that. They just forgot that they mattered. I love stories. It's reading that is the hard part. They point to a string of stars in the sky. That one is called the dragon. The left eye of the demon. Nami looks to where she pointing. Where? About several light years under. I mean, simple terms, you fool. It is little ways under the waning moon. The bright star connected to the red planet and then the two other bright star near the end. Nami studies the sky for a moment. Oh, I think I see it. Yeah, that is because it is connected to the demon consultation, which is about 6 stars formation, a hexagon a little to its left, so really it is just the dragon by itself. Nami hums at the response, quiet for a moment. Why is it called that? Oil doesn't miss a beat, like they didn't completely forget the meaning behind the stars they cherished for the past 800 years. There was once a demon of the underworld, and he was feared and respected by all. However, he had one fatal flaw. He was loyal, and so when his fellow demon brother went into battle, he predictably followed only to be captured and tortured by his own kind. We sent him off to die, is all they told him. With him out of the way we can rule. But you are strong and can live with us. But the demon didn't want to live under their rule, so they tortured him for 1,000 years and took his left eye. He eventually escaped with the help of a maiden, but the story goes on to where he is not the demon lord and he meets the dragon. The dragon was respected as well, but rather than feared by all, he was only feared by his enemies and loved by all with good hearts. His good heart leads him to difficult paths in order to protect the humans he so loved. He had to lose his position among the gods and fell to earth with humans and demons. The demon found the dragon beautiful, strong, unstoppable, powerful, everything a demon loves, but more than that, trustworthy, which is not something you get often with demons. The demon offered the dragon to be his pet and will forever be loyal to the demon. And in return the demon will grant whatever the dragon will. The dragon was a selfless being and had nothing to want for himself. But he had humans to protect from the gods, and so he took the demon's offer if in return he gave protection to his humans. The demon, being loyal to his new pet, obeyed and protected all the humans, while the dragon in return obeyed the demon's every command. The dragon was known as the left eye, as his loyalty to his new lord was so fierce and so true. He was the missing part of the demon's lord's sight. The demon's left eye. Oil doesn't realize they had gathered an audience at their story. Zoro, Nami, and Luffy are enraptured by, oh Jupiter. A beautiful paper dragon and a paper demon are in front of the fireplace, moving on their own. So intricately done that even the horns on their heads were there in the greatest detail. And were probably moving during their whole speech, which just spilled out. Oil quickly pieces, well, good night. They get up too quickly for anyone to stop them and hid behind the corner of the church. They hear the others talking, whispering something or another, but they don't go after Oil. It makes their chest feel tighter than it already was. They don't feel good at all. Their blood feels like it was on fire, and they never realize how cold they were before. Their hands tingled to the point they almost hurt. They don't know what this meant, they don't know what to do. They pick up her pencil, looks to the sky, and starts writing. Ooh, come on Zoro. Don't be a wuss, Luffy shouts at the top of his lungs. I got some meat betting on you. Morning came without a hitch and they continued like normal-ish. The Pengu pirates wished to put their best fighter to the test against their own, and well, I'm getting there, Captain. Zoro stresses out the last word as he blocks another blow. Really, fighting a mother kangaroo and her child should be regarded as unfair, considering it is practically fighting 2-on-1. They are using bamboo sticks for safety reasons, but the duel is still impressive nonetheless. Get used to it, Zoro. Oil raises their voice as well. It can't really be called shouting. This is not the last time you will face a four-sword style. Zoro gets distracted. Wah? Barely blocking another attack at last second. Oil, you're distracting Zoro. Focus, Luffy barks. I bet like 3 meats over this. Oil thought it was quite humorous how Zoro is losing his cool to a mother and her child. But Luffy did bet 3 meat. Whatever that means. They make their leave to the forest. They are still on the other side of the mountain, but now they are on the western point. Nami is finishing up her charts at this end, so they were just wandering until she was done. It is for the best she is not here now. If she knew Zoro was fighting a child, she would probably have a few words about it. As such, Oil wanders into an area of blue grass in a checkered pattern. Now this is different. Using the word abnormal here just seems repetitive. While the blue grass is a surprise, they are glad they took the giant floating fish in stride. How fascinating. They poke the side of the fish. It was the size of the mammoth they rode before and feels dry. Could it breathe on land? But it had gills. How could something with gills have no need for water? Hey Oil, Nami comes from behind her, putting her glasses away. I finished with the western front, now we just need to check the mountains again. Nami doesn't even blink at the landfish. Aw good, you got us a ride. As she got on top of it and starts rereading her notes on its back. Luffy and Zoro constantly come back in tow. You could have shared, you know. I bet my meat. If you wanted some you should have betted. I was the one fighting. Luffy doesn't even hesitate to grab on the side of the fish. Zoro won. It was really emotional. It doesn't seem the best way to hold on, but Luffy is somehow managing. They put up a good fight, but the kid needs more arm strength. Zoro doesn't get on but get next to it like it was a horse to be lead. Nami lowers her notes. Kid? Her voice cold. Oil hesitates for only a moment, calculating all the ways they could avoid this confrontation, then calculating all the ways they could not. They got on right behind Nami. Good job on fighting children, Zoro. You must be really proud. And her mom, he snaps back. It was 2 against 1. Of course, excuse me. Good job on fighting a child and her mother, Oil corrects themselves. Zoro, Nami had a pleasant smile on her face, but anyone who knew her enough knows how empty that smile really is, promising nothing but decimation. Do we need to have a talk about who you fight? Zoro feels his hair stand on the back of his neck but refusing to back down as he leads the fish deeper in the forest. A fighter is a fighter, he said, irritated. If they thought they could fight, then it doesn't matter which gender or age. Nami hums. Okay, sound argument, good structure, but counter argument. Have you through out of this? She narrows her eyes. Don't. If looks could kill, Zoro would be dead, then brought back to life, only to die again. Oil sees his point. They aren't going to say that out loud, of course, rather forcing the conversation back on the fish. It must be the grass. The fish seems to only float above blue grass as it cannot leave the forest. Fascinating, they simply must take a sample. Luffy giggles. Do you think mermaids can float here too? Nami lets the conversation go. Mermaids? Luffy, don't be silly, mermaids aren't real. They're just a myth created by horny sailors. Zoro huffs, says the woman riding a floating fish. They reach a clearing in the forest to farmland. They had to get off the fish as the blue-grassed forest ended to explore a bit. Thank you for the ride. Oil pats the fish. There are no ears to scratch behind, so it is the best she can do. Wow, I didn't know animals could farm. Nami notices the rows of plants sprouting. I wonder what kind could be able. Luffy snorts. Obviously it is farm animals, Nami. Zoro shakes his head. Impossible, they don't have thumbs. No, Luffy has a point, Oil interjects. If they are knowledgeable enough they can get by without thumbs. Luffy point in the distance. See, there is the famer. Sure enough, there was a cow tied to a cart full of produce as Luffy crouches right in front of her. Hello. We love your farm. You're doing a great job without thumbs. Thanks, a voice replied back. Luffy gasps, grabbing the cow's face between his hands. A talking cow? He really wants to ask her to be part of his crew. But he mustn't, she's too delicate, too precious. What the? Nami looks around. They may be on an island of animals, but talking animals. Well, she can't say that crosses the line, but she just looks, okay. And good thing she does, because right behind them is a person. And actually human person. With hands and legs and everything. The four stare at him in utter shock. His face was young for one thing, looking about in his late 20s or so. With firehead hair and farming clothes, looking as natural as any civilian could on a farm. Hey. You're a human, Nami intelligently points out. The guy looks at his dirty farm clothes and looks back up. I guess. Before any of them could further comment, he asks, you guys need a ride? I'm heading back to the village with my haul if you're willing to help out. The four look at him, then at each other, then back at him, multiple silent conversations happening at once. Nami switching between shaking and nodding her head, Zoro making several arguments with just his eyebrows, Oil biting their lip, and Luffy speaking just with his hands. Long story short, the four Straw Hat Pirates end up in working clothes and somehow found themselves working in the fields for a couple of hours. If any of them look back on this, none of them could remember for the life of them how the conversation went to how they came to this conclusion, but they ended up in his cart full of produce by the end of it. It was all very dreamlike as the four got into the back of the red-haired farmer's cart as he made his way to his village. It was all so relaxed, also unreal. Luffy even put his hat on the farmer. His red hair under the straw hat just seems to make sense. Oil, what the hell happened to your hands? Nami takes her arm in her hand. You look like you got into several fistfights. Oil tries to keep still as Nami touches them. It looks worse than it is really. I bruise easily as all, it is true. Their skin is covered in black and blue marks up and down their bare arms. But none of them really hurt per se. They just look concerning. Luffy laughs a bit. You look as purple as the eggplants. Nami picks up an eggplant and shoves it Luffy's face. Hey. Luffy scrambles back as it seems some of the products have eyes and a face. Zoro balances 3 potatoes on his H of it. None of them taking into account that products should not have teeth and eyes and be jumping out of the cart trying to get away from an enviable death by being eaten. The abnormality of it all didn't even cross their minds. The farmer and his cow lead them. Far, like really far. There wasn't a village anywhere in sight. He just kept climbing up the mountain. How long it took and how cow and cart got up so high was not asked or even considered, just accepted. They were so high in the mountains that they could touch the clouds. These aren't regular Ulu's clouds. Nami explains. I have never seen clouds like this before. They are able to keep their shape despite being on a mountain. Amazing. It was the most moldable clouds they have seen. Luffy was sure this was part of a sky island by how moldable it was. He was able to make a cloud ship and command it. Zoro made a cloud sword bed and pretended to drink a barrel of sake. Oil made star after star after star of the little clouds until they had a little hill going. And Nami made her treasure trove of her dreams. It was all so surreal. No one said anything. Or at least no one remembered anything being said. No one remembers asking a question either. If you wonder what happened to everyone, the farmer explained, going back down the mountain, they were taken. The next coherent thought they could recall was only after the farmer was gone. Luckily Luffy got his hat back, and now they were stuck on top of a cold mountain. What the hell just happened? Zoro deadpans. Luffy shrugs, I have no idea but I like it. Nami takes a deep breath. Let's just go back to the boat. She doesn't want to think of what just happened, she wants to sleep. Oil is trying and failing to get some of the what they think is Sky Island cloud. They have a 86% of being right as they have never seen them personally. And sadly it would seem that one needs a dial in order to store this cloud as they are not cooperating with their little paper boxes. Juno curse it all. They could have Nami's weapon upgraded before Reverse Mountain if they could just get a sample. Well, they guess the blue grass and this other sample will do for now. Zoro, you still have our clothes? Nami asks. Zoro nods, getting out some of the winter coats they were able to snag. Oil looks at some of the trees. Zoro, how well do you say you can cut objects out of trees? Zoro tilts his head, thinking for only a second. Pretty well, why do you ask? They point to 4 trees, it would be an appropriate time to show off. Another long story short of how they ended up snowboarding down the other side of the mountain. Luffy was the most natural, doing backflips whenever he could and acting like gravity wasn't even a thing. Zoro sat down like it was a sleigh, somehow still able to make the board obey him despite him looking like he was giving absolutely no effort. Oil having the most difficulties as their legs shook and they had to constantly stop in order to make the turns. Nami being the only normal one. waiting for Oil to catch up to her. Again, no question really asked, just acceptance. The snow surprisingly went all the way down to the mountain. All the way down the forest they first came to. Well, that is convenient. Nami takes off her coat and puts it back in the bag. We should get going, Luffy already making his way inland. But before any of them could think about heading to the White Docks, they first board the animals surrounding them. It is like the entire island was there. Ones they have met and one they have never seen, in human clothes and naked, standing around them, staring, waiting. The four of them covered each other's back. Zoro tense, grabbing his swords, getting ready for a fight. To his left, Nami is worried too but doesn't let it show, while to her left, Oil watches impassively. Only Luffy has a smile on his face as he watched the animals watching them. It is all quiet, until one cat moves out of the circle. Got on her two hind legs, and holds up a flute, meow. The animals cheer at the call, getting out instruments as well. The three stood in shock for a moment until Luffy laughs, alright, party time. And so the party ensued. Llama on keyboards, Nami on xylophone, Zoro on trumpet, Dog on violin, Rooster on accordion, Cat on flute, Luffy on cymbals, Oil on the triangle, and Frogs for harmony, all making a final farewell song as the Straw Hats made their final leave on the strange island. Soon all three, back in their normal clothes, with new clothes and treasure, the only proof that that was not all a dream, started making their leave. Luffy holds his binoculars looking at the island in the distance. That was awesome. Some woodpeckers are looking as well, hanging on the ship as long as they can before they were forced to head back. One on Luffy's head, one stuck to the crowmast. Shit. One making the mast fall down as Zoro made a break for it before his idiot of a captain would fall into the sea. Luffy, get down. Nami puts a hand over her eyes as she looks over the side as well. Did that really just happen? Oil closes their book, yup, making the pee pop at the end, making their way in the only indoor room of the dinghy. They put the clothes away, next to Nami's treasure, and put their own treasure on the little desk. They put down the paper holding blue grass in it. And another sample they have no idea. A pink flower-like plant that hung like a bell. The bud was round and pink with a little Q tip at the bottom with another pinker circle in the middle. They have never seen a flower like this before, but it seems interesting. Not the most logical reason to take it, but variables are variable. Oil knows many things. At least they like to think they do. And one thing they know for sure is that they will never ever know everything. Ooh.